No, I'll take it.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got one on everyone. Recognize
Yeah, but we'll be sure we're gonna pick off it. You and I deal with the. It's nice things about you.
Oh, I need my glasses. Okay, so I'm very pleased. Are they ready or? I'm just gonna give. I think they might get something. Oh, we can start. Okay, so I am very pleased tonight that I get to have Taryn Adams here. Taryn is an 8th grade student. Her parents, Sherry and David Adams, are here. And I'd like to read what was written about her and why she was recognized for this CABE Student Leadership Award nomination. Taryn is an exceptional student who is as well-rounded as they come. She participates year-round in sports and is an excellent trumpet player in the Strong School Band. As a student, Taryn has produced spectacular results, but wants to understand more than just to get a good grade. Sure, the grade is nice, but Taryn asks questions to fully comprehend difficult subjects or topics. She's been a classroom helper in some of the 6th grade art classes, showing her creative side and her willingness to help others. Taryn is an excellent choice for the 2024 CABE Award. Congratulations, Taryn.
You don't have to. You don't have to, but.
Lindsay, so go stand this. You got this. Okay.
Okay. And
Show 'em.
congratulations, Taryn. And the second recognition from Strong School is for Charles Wamester. Come on up, Charles or Charlie. Charlie is here tonight with his mother, Mary Claire, and his father, Thomas, and his brother, David, correct? John. Okay, John. Okay. So I'm going to read now why Charlie was recognized as the CABE Student Leadership Award for 2024. Charlie has been a learner who has displayed each of the district's core ethical values. He is a well-rounded student athlete who excels on the basketball court and the baseball diamond, just as he does in the classroom. He has become a dedicated leader with the Unified Sports Program as well. In the classroom, he is the epitome of a team captain, being a great role model of what is expected while also getting his classmates to produce quality results. He is willing to be challenged with tough coursework and rises to the challenge. Charlie is an excellent choice for the 2024 CABE Award. Congratulations, Charlie. Okay,
Round two.
round two pictures, yeah.
That way. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Come on, Carter. Let's go. Good evening. I'm Debbie Stone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the high school principal. Our CABE honorees tonight. First one is Carter Fudge. His parents Denise and Brian are here as well. Somewhere, or they're over there. And I'm going to read his write-up and why he was selected for this award. So Carter's an outstanding young man. He has been a positive role model for the youth in our district. He is motivated, hardworking, genuine, and compassionate, even when he's throwing french fries. He has taken a demanding course load consisting of honors, UConn ECE, and advanced placement classes. He's been recognized for his academic achievements and is a member of the French Honor Society. He displays strong leadership skills both at school and in the community. Carter's extracurricular activities are highly impressive also. Both music and sports have played a significant role in his high school career. He is a member of the concert band and jazz ensemble. He is also a 3-season athlete participating in cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track. Giving back to the community is very important to Carter. For several summers, he volunteered as a camp counselor at Camp Nerden, a summer camp for people with disabilities. Carter has been involved in Boy Scouts since he was very young and has earned the prestigious honor of Eagle Scout. For his project, he organized and created a nature trail. Carter has been awarded the Middlefield Lions Certificate for exceeding 100 hours of community service. Congratulations, Carter. Practicing for graduation.
Hold on.
Oh,
Oh,
your mother
come on
wants-
back
your
up.
mother wants-
All right.
now you can have us. Our second award winner tonight is Grace Harkins. She is here with her parents, Melissa and Doug. I think uncles are here and brothers are here as well. So just want to shout out to them as well. A little closer, because if I'm saying nice things about you, you have to at least see you smile. The reason that Grace was chosen for this award, as you know, she's an extraordinary young woman. She is highly respected by her teachers and peers. She's an enthusiastic learner who actively seeks out opportunities to explore her interests and further her learning. This year, Grace was selected by Wesleyan University to participate in their high school scholars program. Grace's academic accomplishments are exemplary. By graduation, she will have completed 1 UConn ECE course and 8 advanced placement courses during her high school career. Grace has been recognized for her academic achievements with her induction to the National Honor Society and Spanish Honor Society. Grace is dedicated to extracurricular activities as well. She is a 3-season athlete participating in soccer, indoor track, and outdoor track. Grace was captain of the soccer team this year. She's a member of the student body government and serves as a class representative. Grace has also been a member of the student council. She's focused on making a difference in her community. She's a member of EDGE, which is the Excellence Decision Guiding Every Day, and is devoted to educating students about the dangers of substance abuse and making healthy choices. As a member of the Eco Club, Grace has been involved in town cleanups and bringing awareness to environmental issues. Congratulations, Grace.
Hold on, we're gonna move it.
I think I'm next. You want me to keep going?
Yes, please keep going.
Now we'll present the Superintendent's Award, also called the CAPS Award. This is Jake Rainey. He is one of our recipients and being honored this evening. Jake was chosen for the Superintendent Award because of his strong academic performance, his impeccable character, and demonstrated leadership. It's true, most days. Jake has taken a strong honors and AP curriculum during high school and has earned an impressive 4.17 GPA. He is a very bright, conscientious, and hardworking student who puts tremendous effort into his schoolwork despite having an extremely busy schedule. He has been an active member of his school and community, having participated in basketball, soccer, and tennis, as well as the National Honor Society and Spanish Honor Society. He has served as camp counselor in the summers and has managed a part-time job at Lyman Orchards for 2 years. Still working there? Okay, just checking. He has emerged as a leader the last 2 years and was chosen to be captain of all his sports teams by both his coaches and his teammates. He was chosen for these leadership roles because he's a role model to his peers, both on and off the field, and has the ability to bring his teammates together. He treats everyone with respect and kindness and has consistently demonstrated his genuine, empathetic, and compassionate nature. Congratulations, Jake. Let's do that. We'll hug your graduation. Fine. They were so excited for tonight. Our second award winner for the CAPS Award is Maggie Ross. In your write-up, it says Margaret, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't, I've known you for too long. I can't do it. Maggie was an easy choice for the Superintendent Award this year because she's a high academic achiever, an active member of her school community, and a genuine and positive young woman. Maggie has consistently challenged herself in the classroom by taking honors and AP courses and has earned an overall GPA of 3.81. She has participated in a wide variety of activities throughout her 4 years and has taken on numerous leadership roles. She's been a member of the tennis and track team since freshman year and has served as captain for the tennis team for 2 years. DECA is probably the most noteworthy activity. I lost my place, because she served as vice president of marketing since she joined in 9th grade, has organized many events, and also placed in the top 5 at every regional competition she attended. She was also selected to be part of both the National Honor Society and the Spanish Honor Society, and currently serves as the president of the Spanish Honor Society. Maggie has also dedicated many hours to community service organizations, including Benchwarmers, Exchange Club, and Lions Club. She has clearly demonstrated her empathy and compassion for others, not only through her community service, but also through the kindness and respect that she displays each and every day. Congratulations, Mag. We should shave. If I'm gonna hug you at graduation, it's all good.
I realize these balloons might be more of a nuisance than anything, so apologize. One more.
Thank you.
And now, because, we just put them to work when they win awards, we have our students doing our not monthly anymore, quarterly update. So I am going to introduce Maggie Ross to talk about student life in the past quarter.
Hello. So I'll be reporting on student life tonight. So beginning March 15th, DECA hosted its 9th annual Mr. Coggenshaw, where Ian Weisberg was crowned Mr. Coggenshaw 2024. The following evening, the class of 2026 hosted the semi-formal, which was Candyland themed. On April 17th, 25 students were inducted into Coggenshaw's chapter of the National Honor Society. From April 26th to May 1st, 5 DECA members, including myself, attended the 2024 International Career Development Conference in Anaheim. Dia Patel competed in the sales project event at that conference. AP students began taking exams on May 7th, which concluded on May 17th. After exams were finished, students gathered together to watch a mock crash put on with help from the fire science and EMT class. With the stress of AP classes gone, juniors and seniors headed down to Water's Edge on May 18th for the prom, which was attended by over 170 students and guests. This past Thursday, students and parents gathered for the annual scholarship night, where just under $100,000 was given to graduating seniors. On the same night, the art show was hosted, showcasing the many pieces made by Coggin students. Last night was the spring sports banquet, where all spring sports were celebrated. As the year comes to an end, final exams start tomorrow, and I think I can speak for all seniors when I say that we are very excited to graduate and had another great year here at Coggin. I'm now going to introduce Jake Rainey, who will speak on athletics.
So I just wanted to start by saying my voice might be a little wonky because I just had an awesome field trip at Kwasi. So just ignore that if it's bad. So to start for sports, we had baseball, who had a record of 6-14. Although it's not a great record, they started the season 0-10 and ended up finishing strong, going 6-4. We also had Jack Francesquette, who made honorable mention for the Shorelines. For softball, they made the Shoreline and the state tournaments with a record of 12-7 and lost to the defending state champions Coventry. Next is boys tennis, who went 1-10. But we had Gannon Remillard, who was a freshman, who went 8-2 and made to the semifinals of Shorelines and got second team all conference. Then girls tennis, which the whole team qualified for states, and all varsity players made Shorelines. Piper won the Shorelines for the fourth time in a row, and she ended up with a 75-0 record, which is very impressive, and was also all state for the fourth time in a row. For boys golf, they finished second in the Shorelines at 10-1, and they qualified fifth in the state match. Also, AJ Turman qualified for the Golf State Open at Mohegan's course. And then finally, track and field. Both the girls and boys teams were very successful. The girls finished second in Shorelines and the boys fourth. The girls team also finished third in states. And then yesterday or 2 days ago, they had the state meets where many students performed well, and we ended up sending multiple athletes to nationals, which are in about a week. And 5 players also qualified for the state opens. Now I will introduce Grace Harkins to talk about the musics.
Good evening. Our music department has been very busy this spring season. Most notably, our school musical, Bye Bye Birdie, consisted of lead Sophia Steffen, Jack Tobin, Sophia Rennie, and Riley Byro. The first show was on March 21st and remained successful through the 2 nights that we were able to perform. Unfortunately, a heavy rainstorm occurred on the night of our Saturday show, which resulted in the flooding of the auditorium. Although spirits were low, Mr. Fisher and Miss Schilling called everyone into the cafeteria on that Saturday night to sing and dance one last time all together. It was a very good ending to a very good play. After the play, the band and chorus traveled to New York City to compete in their respective chorus and band competitions. Individually, the highest award received was earned by Jack Tobin as the overall top jazz soloist in his band competition. As a team, the CRHS band placed second overall. Both band and chorus took home trophies, totaling 5, which are displayed currently in the music room lobby. In addition, Ellie Nick and Rachel Hayward played piano at the Durham Senior Citizen Luncheon on May 22nd. Their music brought joy and happiness to the community members that attended. To further highlight, Rachel is a CRHS percussion and piano player who completed her capstone project consisting of an instrumental music piece she composed called Horizons. In fact, the concert band at their most recent concert played her piece. Finally, for Memorial Day, the CRHS band and flag twirlers marched in the parade playing Flying Cadets. To finish the morning, the band performed the Star Spangled Banner, and some of the chorus students sang God Bless America. In a special ceremony, Ryan Fusco and Logan Watts played taps on their trumpets. Overall, our music department has led a successful year and it's really struck a chord. Thank you.
I'm back again. A couple more to go. So next, this wasn't an easy one because I don't have to reread it, but Carter, could you stand and be recognized? The Board of Ed scholarship night was last week. The scholarship committee and I chose Carter as your scholarship recipient. So congratulations, Carter, one more time. They wanted to make sure they recognize you. But see, I don't have to read anything additional. That worked out well.
So
Go ahead.
the one thing we really wanted to say, and it was amazing to see what Mrs. Stone had come up with for us to read at the scholarship night. The most amazing part of that was after talking to his parents and compiling the amount of community service that this student has done, over 400 hours with Camp Nerden and over 100 hours in building that nature trail for his Eagle Scout project. So we just want to say we are so incredibly proud of you, and we know you'll do great things. So congratulations.
Me again. Two more. All right, I'm going to, for the first time at a board meeting, but I think it's appropriate, talk about very quickly about our salutatorian and our valedictorian. Almost forgot who we are. So Claire, come here. So Claire Overton is graduating with a 4.53 GPA, earning her the distinction of salutatorian for the class of 2024. She's planning on pursuing a major in biomedical engineering at UConn in the fall. Aside from this great academic honor, Claire's been a member of the softball team for 4 years, winning the state tournament a couple of years ago with her team. This year, she took a risk and joined the soccer team. I forgot about that until I reread that today. And for the first time since 4th grade. She became the team's goalie and expresses that it has been one of the most enjoyable high school experiences she has had. So congratulations to Claire as our salutatorian. And her grandfather wants to give her
Take this way again. I don't know why.
Dia Patel is graduating with a 4.65 GPA, earning her the distinction of valedictorian of the class of 2024. She's planning on attending Georgetown University and majoring in government on a pre-law track. Her true passion lies in government and politics. Her achievements include authoring a book titled America Starts Local and creating a podcast named Breaking Bounds to promote which promotes youth engagement in government politics. Dia served as the president, and I hope I got these all because I ran out of room at one point, but Dia served as the president of the Junior Statesmen of America Club, DECA, the tennis team, and National Honor Society. Did I get them all? What'd I miss? Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's not. Vice President, Student Body Government. She's also the senior editor of the school newspaper and the Secretary General of our Model UN. So congratulations to Dia.
Last time. That's it. I'd love to.
Dad first. Dad first. Okay, now.
Okay, yeah. I will be attending the University of South Carolina, majoring in sport and entertainment management.
I'll be attending the University of Connecticut, majoring in environmental sciences.
I will also be attending the University of Connecticut, majoring in cell and molecular biology on a pre-med track.
I'll be attending WPI, Polytechnic Institute, and I will be majoring in biology.
I'll be attending Georgetown University studying government and political economy.
I'll be attending the University of Connecticut honors program studying biomedical. How busy this end of the year is, so. Thank you all your time. Thank you. Like Kevin Brooke and Mike Hans, that's my piece. It's not like spotlight, but.
Thank you, Doug. So this year, we'd like to honor 4 district retirees. And those individuals are Sue Villa, who's served for almost 38 years, her latest position being the administrative assistant to the athletic director at Coggins. Karen Ballavander, who is serving as, or who served, I should say, as a teaching assistant at Lyman School. Karen started in 1997 for a total of 27 years. Marcia Croto, who's a teaching assistant at Brewster for the next few days, has worked in Regional School District 13 for the past 17 years. And Terry Ryan, who could not be here this evening, also serves as a teaching assistant at Brewster for 25 years. So I hate to do this, but I'm going to ask Mrs. Stone to come back up and to recognize Sue Villa. And Sue, if you would come on up and join us, please.
So if I get any of this wrong, it's Todd's fault. Sue Villa has been employed by RSD 13 for 38 years. She began as an instructional aide at Memorial in 1986. Is that right? Switching to the library aide at Lyman in March of 87. She stayed at Lyman for 5 years, then moved to the high school. Seems to be a pattern of what some of us do. To become a library aide in 1993. In July of 2000, she moved internally to be the library media admin assistant, then finally moving to the high school guidance position and then the athletic department in July of 2017.
Right.
Sue is best known for always being ready to help a colleague or a learner. She still does when she's here. She takes tremendous pride in her job and has an amazing work ethic. She felt that the coaches and student athletes belonged to her, and she had a sense of always making sure they succeeded. Her organizational skills, high expectations, and big heart will be something we always remember about Sue. We are thankful for Sue's service to RSD 13, and you will always hold a special place in all of our schools. Congratulations, Sue.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Stone. I would now like to ask Mr. Ford to come up, and Mr. Ford's going to say a few words about Mrs. Karen Ballavander.
Karen. Thank you for having us tonight. I want to extend my congratulations and best wishes to Karen Ballavander upon her retirement. Karen joined Region 13 in 1997 and has served as a teaching assistant at John Lyman School for 24 years, and it has been my privilege to be her colleague for 12 of those years. Karen started her Lyman career supporting classrooms in grades 3 and 4 and has been working most recently in kindergarten. There are many things I could tell you about Karen, but what stands out the most to me is how exceptionally kind and thoughtful she is. Anytime you see Karen in the hallway or in a classroom, she makes a point of saying hello to you and asking how you're doing. You rarely see Karen without a smile on her face, and that kindness translates to her work with children. Karen brings warmth and caring to the classrooms she supports, and our learners and staff know how much she cares about them. Karen has been an incredible asset to John Lyman School, and her dedication to learners and colleagues does not go unnoticed. It is hard to imagine our school without you, Karen, but I know that you are ready to begin the next chapter of your life with your family. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for everything that you have contributed to John Lyman School and RSD 13 throughout your career. We will all miss you.
Thank you so much.
The next retiree is from Brewster School. Unfortunately, Mrs. Murray couldn't be here this evening. So I'm going to try to fill in for Mrs. Murray. So if Marcia Croto could come up, please. So Marcia has supported the students in Regional School District 13 for 17 years. And most of Marcia's time was spent in preschool as a teaching assistant. Marcia's always gone above and beyond for the students in her care. She approaches all situations, no matter how difficult, with patience, perspective, and a sense of humor. She looks for the positive in all students and colleagues. Marcia is the model of professionalism. Her creativity, patience, and dedication to the job is endless. She's a valuable member of the preschool and school team and will be greatly missed next year. Marcia has spent her time in Regional School District 13 supporting some of our most fragile children. She's caring and nurturing in her support, and she truly cares about each individual child. Mrs. Murray has observed her soothe and play with children with a calm demeanor and effortless manner. She has a special way with children of all abilities. In addition to the charm that Marcia brings to her learners, she's also an integral part of the Brewster community. She has served on the Climate Committee, Sunshine Committee, and the District Safety Committee. She always ensures everyone is recognized on their birthday with a special treat from Sunshine. Marcia has touched so many lives and left a lasting impression on so many children and adults. We wish her luck in her retirement. We hope she enjoys time with her grandkids and some downtime with Jimmy as they both enjoy the next part of their journey together. Thank you, Marcia. I'd also like to recognize Terry Ryan, who could not be here this evening. Terry Ryan has been part of the Brewster School team since 1999. As a kindergarten teaching assistant, she has supported over 400 children in her time here. Her firm but supportive nature has offered a consistent and welcome routine for our youngest learners. Terry's been an active member of the support staff union as treasurer. Her leadership and guidance to her peers has been invaluable. Terry's support in the kindergarten classroom will be greatly missed by her long-term teammate, Mary Kate Brandt. The two were a complementary team that guided and supported some of our most fragile learners as they embarked on their first year of school. Terry's work ethic and behind-the-scenes support has helped the kindergarten classroom she works in stay organized, prepared, and ready for the day. This kind of work, along with working with students with varying degrees of needs, is the foundation of successful classrooms and paves the way for learning to occur. Terry's strong work ethic has allowed learners to be successful in all classrooms. Terry looks forward to the next chapter in her life journey, spending time with her new granddaughter and visiting her daughter in Chicago. Terry has touched the lives of many children and families through the years and will be dearly missed by all. We wish her the best of luck in her retirement. So let's have a round of applause for Terry. And just to take a minute, I just want to say a few words. I will be very brief. But, you know, we've recognized these four individuals for just a tremendous amount of time in Regional School District 13. And I think we heard of their accomplishments, and their accomplishments are many. But I think the prevailing thought and message is their work with learners and with kids. And that's truly the reason why these individuals worked in Regional School District 13 and why we're recognizing them tonight. And I'm sure each of them, all four of them, have untold stories of the work they did with kids. And probably nobody knew about that. Certainly teachers, maybe, but I think a lot of folks weren't really aware of all of the extra things that they did on behalf of the kids that they worked with. And I think that's really, really important in terms of recognizing these individuals for the many times that they weren't recognized. We talk a lot about culture, and I think Regional School District 13 has a really good culture. And these four were a real big part of that culture, and they will certainly be missed next year. But I think as a district, we wish them the best of luck in the future. And we want to thank them again for all of their work in the district, serving our students, our learners, our kids, every member of our school community. Thank you. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
We have two other programs that we will be offering this summer. Both we've offered in advance. One is what we call our intervention summer school. That will run July 8th to the 25th, Monday through Thursday, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So 3 hours, basically 12 days. That will be housed over at Brewster Elementary School, and we currently have 26 signed up for that. Just a fraction of who was invited, but that's unfortunately just how things work sometimes. We also have 56 signed up for Kindergarten Academy. That is something that we started a number of years ago. That is running during the same time period, 3 separate weeks, 3 separate sessions. Those are 2-hour sessions. Probably 2 hours is enough at that age at that point. If I have to work over it the full days by the fall. But really, glad that we had the signups for that. The one disappointment, and I know we've heard from at least one parent on this, is we had hoped to run intervention all the way up through grade 5. In spite of the fact that we've had low enrollments in that in previous years, but unfortunately, we just can't find the staff to do that. So we, the staff we have, we are allocating to the youngest learners, the K2, and also the rising K. And I would entertain any questions. I probably can't answer them, but I think we have people who can if there's any questions about that.
Have we identified, for the students that have had that intervention before in previous summers, do we have anything that we're identifying for them, options for them, whether it's work at home or some guidance on where they might want to look towards for?
No, I think that's a good question, and it's also a good time for me to admit that I didn't read my last bullet point. That we're going to be sending information next week to families, and this will go pre-K to 8 and even some high school offerings as well. Now, I want to be clear. These are not programs that we're offering in the schools where they can come in person, but it's links to resources, activities, things that can support. And certainly we would hope that any parent who is not getting what they had hoped to get could connect with a teacher or others at the school to find out which of those resources may be helpful. Again, that would have to be the learners themselves, or if they're very young, their parents kind of going through those with them. Do you want to add anything to that? Or is that kind of covered?
No, that covers it. There's probably going to be a message going out in Parent Square at all schools on Friday this week, and the website will become live next week. We're just working on checking all of the links to make sure that it's still active, and then also adding some new stuff that the schools have given us.
No, I think that's going to be, it's a tough thing for me, and it was a tough thing to see that email, because I think we have so many kids that are moving buildings next year that are, and now we're not offering something that they're really used to having during the summer months. So it'd be nice to identify who those kids are that would normally have been invited for intervention that aren't going to be, and really do due diligence to work extra hard to make sure that we're giving them as much as we can. So that otherwise
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, the interventionist, and I think probably across the building also prepare, so if they're reading or math intervention, also prepare like individualized packets of information to go home with each learner for the summer. So they, I know for reading, they're getting at Memorial, they're getting like an individualized piece about where they left off on their current skills. Then they're also getting review skills to work on of the skills that they've been working on throughout the year that they can independently do and just want to maintain. And then they're getting a general, or they picked out a novel together and some like general comprehension questions they can do. So that is, I know the interventionists are working on that and grades 3, 4, and 5 to prepare for all the children to go home with them.
And then the only other thing I had thought on that when I was sitting up last night, some farmers market things, and I realized that when going through it, is there other districts that are having staffing issues with summer school, and if they are, is there a co-op option? Like, is that something that districts do where they work together as a co-op for summer for help? Because I think part of it is it's great to have some of this information that comes home, and a lot of these parents are working, and I know that one-on-one or even instruction with an actual teacher has been incredibly important for some of these kids. So, and again, I don't know if it's something we do, but
I don't know that answer. You all know of anything? I've not heard of that.
I would just question whether if they're co-oping for summer school or extended school year, because summer school is not a mandated.
Yeah, I know, it's just, and
Extended
it's,
school
it's
year
more
is-
based on past precedent, if we've
Well,
offered it
we're
before.
disappointed too, because this was not a funding issue, and I'll have to
No,
make
this
sure
was-
that you guys knew that, but
Right.
funding was there to run the program. We just can't find the people, and it's, I mean, I understand that teachers work all year, and some of them want to break in the summer, and I'm happy that we have the ones that we have to run the programs that we do have, yeah.
Have we identified whether it's because of it, it's not worth it to them financially, or they truly just are, say, burnt out and don't want to be doing summer school? Like, because that's something when we get to budget wise, if it's something we can add more so that we are getting support for summer school, it's something we really need to look at.
I don't know, do you know that answer, Melissa? or-
I mean, there has not been a survey that has gone out, but just from speaking with teachers there, many are interested in recharging over the summer.
Okay.
I do have that our rate of pay is high, like Region 17, I have as 30, I looked on the contracts, 37.76 an hour, Middletown is 43 an hour. We are at 45.18 an hour.
Okay.
So so comparably, that's quite nice.
Yeah.
So I would imagine recharging
Yeah.
is a priority.
Did you- I'm sorry.
Yeah, just if I may, I know for a lot of teachers, especially at childcare, in the summer.
Yeah.
Our building alone, we have, you know, moms and dads with school age kids, so that certainly factors in to do the summer teaching with them, and, you know, finding childcare of their own. As you know, can be, you know, either expensive or challenging. So I think that actually, you know, there is a recharging component, but I think that's also, especially at the elementary level, you know, a pretty significant component of it as well. You know, the personal childhood piece.
Do you think that it's possible to cast a wider net because you don't need certified staff? Right, you can have, if you have a curriculum, lessons, whatever, that are gonna be taught, you don't have to have a certified teacher to do it. So, and maybe not this summer, but like also going to, you know, Middletown, there's a much wider faculty who may be looking for summer work rather than just focusing on our town. I mean, I just think that that's one option, is to cast a wider net as far as filling the positions rather than just our certified staff.
Do we consider outside applicants
We have not,
being actively recruited?
not this year.
Not this year, or in years past.
So
So
I
I-
think it's a good suggestion.
I have from 2020 to this year, I have the data for, how many learners we have and how many teachers. So for 2020, we invited current K through 4 learners. And there were 59 who accepted and 22 who declined that. I do not have the data on how many teachers we had that year. For 2021, same current K through 4 learners were invited. We had 8 teachers that year. And in 2022, we had 32 learners, and we offered it to K through 2. And last year, was the first year we offered it through 5. We only had 1 fifth grader come last year. We invited 89 and ended up with 37 coming. And then this year, we invited K through 2.
Now, you're talking about summer school. Do you still have the extended school year as a separate program?
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
all the students that have
Yes,
IEPs
that's a
are
separate.
all included.
And yes, then, and for, that would be the first round goes to ESY,
Right.
anything
Okay.
mandated, and then mine.
I do know in the district I work in with 17 high schools, we're getting daily emails, Spencer, looking for people as well. For every school. I don't know, you know, again, recharging, they might have something to do. I do wonder sometimes. If there's some conflict with sort of building logistics too, you know, you have maintenance staff that needs to. Kind of cordon off areas and do the floors and all that there. I know there's friction. With these programs and that too. So like what takes precedent? I don't know. I don't know the solution, I don't offer anything, but I suspect sometimes there's kind of this sigh, like maybe we don't need a lot of kids here or should have them. I don't know. I do wonder about that.
Anything else on that topic? All right, just two more things. Want to give a shout out to Jen King, Robert Jarvis, and a whole host of other folks for our recent visits that we had from our Panamanian delegation. And I have the opportunity to be presented with this. It's not as big as the trophy that Jen had last month, but it was a very sweet gesture. I don't know what it says. In Spanish. Oh, I did.
Okay.
So do you want to just translate it yourself?
Es posible porque está.
All right. I use Google Translate, but if you'd rather do it,
Like the doctor.
we'll see how Google Translate compares to you.
Thank you for helping us complete our mission of offering a sport like training. People meeting people. Oh, that's interesting. And I've never seen that.
Olympic styles.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
Google Translate.
Yep, but tipo olímpico a personas con habilidades, Special Olympics, basically. And promote inclusion in society.
Yeah. So thank you. And Jen, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, and we have.
I know you're still recovering from lots of sleep.
I don't know. We just had an amazing visiting, with our, special Olympic, friends from Panama. It was a lifelong dream come true for me. I'm speechless because it was a remarkable experience, and we are looking forward to going to Panama to see our same friends and share the experience on the outbound trip with our students.
That's in
September, yeah, first week of September, so. We were hosted at the opening games for Special Olympics Connecticut. We were introduced podium at the opening games with the torch lighting, and we went to field day. We learned Spanish. We we participated in activities all over the state of Connecticut. Of course, a huge shout out to Rob Joris for just a jam-packed schedule of events with an Olympian athlete and other special Olympic athletes. It was one of the most meaningful experiences of my life. And our students were incredible. It's again, I'm speechless. I'm tired.
I don't like you talking to me about that.
Yes, I don't. I have a lot more to say over the next course of the agenda. It was.
I will also add that it was only like a week prior to their arrival, and we still didn't know this thing was actually going to happen, which is kind of scary. And it had nothing to do with our folks. It just had all to do with outside agencies and all these things that had to happen. And I don't know how you guys were, but when I saw that itinerary, I was like, whoa. So yes, thank you, Jen, and everyone who was involved in that.
Yes.
And last but not least, I think you all know this because you've gotten the emails from the high school, but just a reminder, 1 week from tonight, graduation, if you can make it. I know some of you can, some of you can't, but whether you can or can't, just a great time for us to honor not just the 6 or so that we saw tonight. Yeah, 6 of those high school graduates, but all of them really, and what a special night. And to remind you that our format here, as we put into place last year, is a rain or shine event. So probably within 24 hours, Deb and her team will make a decision about what the forecast looks like outdoor, which is what we prefer. Or if we go into the auditorium, but we will have a day in outdoors.
And BC Connecticut 10-day forecast.
We're good.
Well, Jackson.
Okay. Then we will move on to staff reports. Kim, Director of Finance report.
Just a couple of things. We finished year-to-date, May 2024, with 85% expended in the budget, 100% encumbered, and 89% of our revenue received. We are going to be, we have been, but we are finalizing, closing out the year, liquidating any purchase orders that are not going to be used. And then we'll report back again at the end of June at the next meeting, and then again in July with what any kind of anticipated. The only other thing on my list is bus routes with the reconfiguration. There are going to be different bus numbers, different times. So that's going to be something that we'll be asking the parents to really look at. We want to give the parents enough time so that the routing is actually taking place this year. The new software, definitely move to new software. And our new software with Jen Anderson's help in IT helped us to then forward the students before we roll over Power School and put them in their next school ID, or which would be whatever their school ID is for next year. So they're busy routing now, which couldn't happen until August. So we're fortunate, and then now what we can do is let the parents have a little bit more time to look at their routes. Usually it's kind of a tight turnaround, and make plans for childcare or if anything changes. So we are looking at that, and hopefully give everybody enough time. Make sure there's. And it will be easier to look up your bus routes.
One of our bus drivers like the propane bus.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. You've gotten that feedback?
Yeah.
I've gotten a few residents that said that they like it too. They think
Can't hear them coming.
Oh.
And there's some horror stories about the electric buses our district uses for transporting students. If you need to go from Hartford to somewhere way down south, like in the Gold Coast, you have to drive there and then either find a place to charge, or you will have to switch over buses in another school so you can get back to your home school. It's not good right now.
Yeah, we have a couple diesel backup buses, just so you know, if we have any long field trips. Because diesel is smart up, we have to be.
Second staff report on district climate committee update. And just so everyone knows, Lucy and I have a meeting with district climate. We had a meeting that just based on how the unified sports kids were coming from Panama, we had to change the date, and so Jen and Liza and I met the other day, so we did go over some of the stuff on climate, and Jen's prepared to go over some of the normal stuff she talks about. But if there's any questions or comments during, please feel free to ask.
So I need copies, but I printed in black and white. But the beautiful graphs from the aperture, I hate can't read it, so then I went back and just printed graphs in color, so that's a little bit better. So climate, again, as you guys know, all schools have been working diligently and in different ways on fostering our core ethical values throughout the school year. And we thought that we're talking at each of the climate committee meetings about ways that everybody was doing that throughout the school year, and for the latest last climate everybody put their lists of their climate improvements and updates into our grid, and your examples of what they have been doing to foster
for ethical values, so we do have that, it's not show. So, we do have that one for the list, and that, leadership team. But number one, here is our district, attendance and office referral and disciplinary report for the school year totals. You'll see the office referrals and our bus referrals and our suspensions in school and out of school. Suspensions, our absences and truancies and our complaints. As you'll see that Strong School did have their share of office referrals and suspensions. That's not news to any of us, I think. Had some disciplinary issues at Strong. We have been talking about that regularly, talking about that as a team, how to address it. We have our restorative practices expert in the room. Started certainly working on using restorative practices and progressive discipline at Strong and working on lots of different ways of improving student behavior at Strong and getting students and parents and staff to buy in to improve behavior across the district and a variety of ways, starting at, at the end of last year, beginning of the year, with, our focus groups and things like that, and those things as well. The bullying complaints filed, you'll see the line on the bottom. I want to make a note that because we had talked about it at our meeting, there was only one report filed using, and it wasn't even a bullying report, it was an incident report using our new online system that we put place last year on the Google sheet. It's funny because that student reached out to me. She's at university this year, and she reached out for a reference this year, and I did her the reference, and so we had some communication. So it was nice with them.
And that was something I had said to Jen, and the reason we were talking about it was I was wondering how effective our current anonymous reporting app is. Well, it's not an app, our Google form.
Yeah.
And I know if we go back to last year, just to refresh Tina a little bit, is that we had looked at different applications and different ways for students to report incidents or concerns, and there were different logistics that were hard, whether it was like 24-hour monitoring. And how that would be monitored. There was a cost to some of them. And the reason I had asked Jen was, really, do we not have students that want to report incidents? And that's why we only have one, or is it that we're not meeting the needs of that anonymous reporting? So I think it's, it's something this summer and even in the fall we can look into. I've been talking to the board chair from Newtown, Sandy Hook Promise app. They've made a lot of changes and they've done a lot of work with that app. And they do have some other recommendations that don't require that 24-hour monitoring. And it's got some different keywords in it. If certain keywords come up, then that can be sent to someone, but a regular recording that comes through or even the words that come through, if it's not indicated as an emergency, can wait for that next day. But I think it is something we should really look at. Is there stuff going on that the kids aren't feeling comfortable to going and saying? And I know we're going to get some stuff that might be unfounded, just like we get reports that are unfounded.
Yeah.
Right. But if we get one report of a student reporting something that they should have been or needed to report for every 4 that might be unfounded.
The immediacy, even with the Google form, it's like, if this is an emergency, call 911. That's our biggest concern. We don't want anybody thinking that know if it's true, but say that if somebody's going to see it, you know, at 10 o'clock at night and respond right away. Whenever that's our concern. You know, one field, or something, so.
Yeah, I think the good thing on that is there are a lot of districts that do have a lot of good data on it now, how it works, so. I think we can take that and really dive into it and figure out what's best for us. Obviously, what's best for us might not what is best for another district. But, you know, if we can improve that and meet those needs, I would love to be able to say that no one was reporting anything because there wasn't anything going on. But I'm pretty hesitant to say that.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. We tend to get students here emailing us directly if there's an issue, which I think is a positive thing. And we will say to students, just email us if there's something right away, or if you want to report it and you don't want to come to the office. And we also have incident report forms, but we do get a lot of email.
And that's great. I mean, it shows advocacy. It shows that these kids are willing to put themselves out there to do that. I just worry about the kids that, you know, that are already in a situation maybe of bullying and they're afraid that saying something is going to mean that it's going to get worse. Or that they just don't understand.
Yeah, what's the criteria for office referral and all of that? And
The office referral, the OSS and the ISS, that's school-based, right? So it's, the office referral for Brewster School is not the same as it is for Strong School, so. Per se, right? So,
Or even Lyman and Brewster.
yeah,
between-
and that might not be the same.
so, I mean, if somebody does something bad or somebody smacks somebody,
Well, yes, yes, if it's a physical altercation, that's gonna be an office referral, yes. Or, you know, swearing or, you know, disruption to, you know, the educational environment, sure, yeah, absolutely, certain, yes.
But do you track the
but-
incidences? And
To
the
track it.
type of incidents?
Yes, so the principals give me these numbers. So their office referrals are based on what they deem an office referral. So for Memorial, this is the 96, it's coming directly from Noel.
So, but what I
Her
mean is, do
criteria.
you have that data disaggregated, that this number of, but there's several data points that would be
Correct.
informative. One would be, of the 501, how many students are represented? How many students have
Yes.
more than two, more than
Yes.
5?
Yes, yes,
And then
Mhm.
another one is, what are the type? of-
Yes.
Like insubordination versus, you know, violence.
yes. So at each building, they have that data. They
But that would
can
be
disaggregate that.
Informative data for us. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other
I
thing-
don't have that
Yeah.
for that. I have that for the suspensions in school and out of school suspensions. I had, because that's what I have to
All I'm
track
saying is,
district wide.
all right, let me be more direct.
Yeah.
I would like that information.
I don't know that, so
Do we track that?
I don't track it.
That
That's at
considered
the
a power
building
school
level.
with Any type of code.
I don't.
Because what I was gonna say too is that tricky part about referrals. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I've done it directly.
Yeah.
Referral is the referral of this is what I think happened, or maybe this is what I saw happen, still has to be investigated.
Yeah.
And sometimes what's written on the referral, like insubordination or whatever, is not actually what the administrator deems after doing a thorough investigation. Which is why I think the OSS and the ISS, and if it comes to it, expulsions are a different indicator too, because I would put more stock in what are kids actually being punished for? versus
Exactly,
What are they being?
right.
I,
And so,
yeah.
so I was, any time. So if I were to couch it in these terms, if there is a consequence given by the office
Yes.
Yes.
that for
Yes.
what are the offenses? That is the data that I would.
And what categories do we have? Or, you know, I don't, that would be good to have too. Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so for state tracking, right, what I keep track of are the OSS and the ISS, right? And those are tracked with exactly what you're saying, what's the offense and everything else. I'm sure they have it at the building level, and if that's what, if you're interested in that, that's,
Yeah.
that's fine, I don't have it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm
That would
just
be enough,
saying,
yeah,
that would be information that I would be interested in seeing.
yeah,
I don't care where it comes from.
yeah.
It's information I would like to see.
I would be interested in as well.
I have nothing related exactly to this, but from just a climate point of view,
Well,
Cheryl's got a very difficult grade level,
It's-
and I think it gets more difficult every year from what I'm hearing about national news.
But
Very,
I don't
very
mean, I mean across the board, like,
Yeah.
I'm not targeting any one school. I would like to see it for all the schools.
There's been a lot of promotion lately of this program called Wait Until 8.
Yeah.
Don't give your phone, till it's 8, you know, not that it's gonna solve every problem, but we know they don't have the maturity level. to really be like-
Great, I agree with.
I would love to see some posters up.
And I-
Parents can save some money by.
And I think too, just on behalf of Jen, we've had these, some of you may not know, but the state has actually mandated that we have a district climate committee within our district that is comprised of staff, students, parents, and it's basically an inclusion of all stakeholders. Many districts already are in compliance with this. It does say July 1, for us to be in compliance with it. We have yet to receive the guidance from Shipman on a policy
Waiting
for it.
yeah.
And once we get the policy, I'm hoping to have that this month. We can then go through, figure out, you know, what we already accomplished within the legislation and what we need to do to form that district climate committee, because I know based on just looking through the legislation itself, it's hard to read some of it without looking at a policy that Shipman gives us, but I do see where we're not compliant. And we do seem to be all moving in different directions and different wants. And it is hard for Jen and it's hard for our building administrators. So I think this legislation's, you know, kind of a blessing in disguise. It's going to make sure that the board and all the stakeholders are on the same track with well-being and if we need to form, you know, a subcommittee based on actions that we want to take as a board, we can do that as well. But we need to get that guidance first.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, and I'm going back to Linda's kind of, I'm trying to, because I respect what you're saying and which data, right? Because we can look at any data, 100 different, plus different ways, right? What are we looking, like, which piece? Where's the why, right? What is our, because I know how I want to look at things. Where's the why and the what, right? Because I look at data because I want solution. Right? Fix, right? What are you looking for
Well,
specifically for the fix, right? So
what data am I looking for, or what is the why?
well, I not the why, I know you want the fix, right? But what data, what are you,
Okay, I can write it down.
no, I'm just saying,
I would like to see how many of the referrals or how many students who have received a consequence from the office are repeat offenders, how many are just a one-off, how many are more than 5, more than 10, et cetera, et cetera. What is the nature of the offense? And again, and maybe I'm assuming, but there should, like, whether we use Swiss or any of the other ones, we should be tracking that. And again, it goes back to a data culture. We should be tracking the nature of the offenses, right? So that we can look and we can see, hey, well, I don't want to pick on insubordination because it's so subjective, but honestly, that's one of them, right? Is if a large percentage of these are based on something that's so subjective, such as insubordination, that speaks to a different issue than if we're looking at students throwing things in the cafeteria, right? And so that's the data that I'm interested in seeing, especially when you see large numbers. If we see that there's a group of students who are receiving all of the referrals, what are the tier 3 kind of interventions that we have in place for that?
Agree. I agree. And that's what I would imagine happens at the school-based climate team meetings.
Right.
Okay.
We have I don't understand why you're pushing back.
No,
We
no, I'm
have
not
a-
pushing back.
we
I'm
have
just
a vested-
wondering.
We have a vested interest in this,
Yeah, no.
right? And so that's it. It's information. And I don't understand why we're hoarding that
No,
information.
no, no, I'm just, I'm
Yeah.
just, I'm asking because I'm thinking to myself, that's exactly, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a good point, and I'm thinking to myself,
Right, if you don't have it,
Yes.
I mean, like I said, I
I
don't
don't.
care how I get it. I
no,
don't care
no,
where I-
I'm thinking to myself, I'm assuming that that's the conversation that goes on at the school-based team. Maybe I should be asking that conversation to be reported to me so that I am
Got it.
reporting it to you. Do you
Got
hear
it.
what I'm saying?
Now I do, yes.
Sorry, sorry. You hear it, because
Yes, yep.
I shouldn't assume.
Got
I
it.
guess is what I'm trying to
Even though the
say.
500 referral number seems high, we're small enough in the school where we can pretty much, without naming names, we know.
Oh, because I know,
We know.
yes.
But
Because I know, I know
honestly,
those
that's the
answers.
process. It's,
Yeah.
it's kind of that mindset that we don't want, right? To think, oh, we know who it is. That's an incredibly dangerous statement, right?
But I
not
think
everybody
what
does.
Linda's saying is like, when we look
Everybody
at goals and
does.
objectives and we look at actions and policy that the board wants to evaluate or put forward, it's hard not to have those sets of data to be able to evaluate well-being. It is one of the large parts of our goals and objectives. So I think that that's what we're kind of craving. We're craving that information in order to make actions on policy and help it forward as a full board. And like I said, I think the district climate committee will do that.
That was good, because I just, like I just said, that was.
Yep.
That's it. I hear what you're saying. I'm just assuming. Yeah.
Sorry.
Can get back.
Like
I'm
different-
writing it down because, like I said, I assume things are, and then that's a communication process that I.
And while I don't have numbers, I could give you.
Yeah.
Things right now, like I would be
Yeah.
saying, you know.
It's
Right,
just-
Ten
yes.
kids.
Yeah,
or,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I can tell you it was
yes.
predominantly eighth grade.
And we can tell you. it's
Sixth grade for very few,
Yeah.
and then a
Repeat
little bit more
offenders
seven, mostly
and-
repeat offenders. And we do have a lot of procedures in place, including the restorative practices. Because I always say, but also discipline, the word discipline to discipline means to teach. So it's not just a consequence, it's also like change.
Punishment doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Makes,
And-
go underground, right,
Yes.
that's right, and they move it.
And-
but it doesn't change.
when
And
you
so
look
we
at
try
the
to do both,
details.
and I do feel that it's important, especially at the middle school level, that students have to understand that you made a mistake, it's okay. But there are, and we're gonna work through this with you, we're gonna try to make it right, but there are consequences for our mistake, all of us, right? And I'd rather that students learn it at a younger age with me, then the consequences are much lower than as you get older.
And we are looking, it does look like there's a good chunk of that data on website already.
Yes,
I'm not just-
internet searching.
Yeah.
That's
what all-
Yeah, it is.
I'm there.
Yeah.
So
That's only,
some of that.
sections.
Yes.
That's,
why
what
we
is it,
asked.
incident type, it's only pulling out like suspendable offenses.
That's what- yes,
But still, like, got about a dozen categories here, so. I
Yes.
think
Yeah,
that
And we
they're
have
helpful.
to fit it in the same category.
I mean, that's what's being reported to the public, so I think, yeah, you know, that's the input from our power school. and all that. It's good.
And
I don't know how far it'll do that.
do feel like I need to say if you have teachers that's strong. I know 501 is a large number, I kind of choked a little bit when I saw it. But I will tell you, I don't think that they are, referral happy, for lack of a better word. I think when they write referrals, they're this, that needs to be addressed. And sometimes it's just a conversation. But they're not just writing referrals for the students who, I don't know, chewing gum or something like that. You know what I mean? I just want to say that.
And I think, go ahead.
No, but I was just gonna say also, as a part of the story that we're doing, we're trying to shift the narrative in the lens of like, where a referral obviously comes with some kind of markup. The teachers are also inviting a conversation for the work with that student, where they're not issuing, or they're not basically writing a referral, so Cheryl and myself can issue a consequence blindly without their input or without their participation in that harm. So that's a big what we're doing, because we recognize that whenever a referral is written from the student about maybe a situation or in a classroom, that it's kind of a cry for help, meaning that like they need to touch base to kind of restore that relationship. So, and again, that doesn't necessarily mean that comes without consequences, but we're really invested in relationships. And I think that's why so many of the teachers are basically fighting them, because they're trying to say, there's something going on with this relationship that I want to restore. So that's the only kind of lens that might be helpful for that, because it doesn't signify that things are out of control, but it does signify that there are some relationships.
And I think too, and Ben and I had this conversation, and I've had it with Cheryl too, just in speaking of strong in general, is that restorative practices are wonderful. And I think especially at the younger levels, it really is just astronomical in making sure that the kids don't get to a level where disrespect is happening or violence is happening. And it's really important. You know, there's some sort of disconnect between our elementary school and our middle school. And Cheryl is dealing with that at this point. And those referrals are accountability. Cheryl is working very hard with the staff to hold these students accountable to behaviors that are unacceptable behaviors and words to adults and to their peers. And we should be looking at the numbers, but we have to look at them in twofold. We have to look at it from a lens of, that's a lot of kids that are doing things that are warranting going to the office. It's also showing us that they are taking those things seriously and the kids are getting there. But it would be neat as a wellness or a district planning committee to see what we can do better to prepare the students in the younger grades, so that once they get up to this 6th, 7th, or 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, they are respecting each other and respecting their teachers and adults. It's incredibly hard to see some of these kids disrespect these teachers that are so invested in them. And Cheryl really takes quite a tough beating, for lack of a better word, from these kids. And so I want to thank her. And it's well, you guys are
on behalf of kids, because it is developmentally appropriate for 11 to 14-year-olds to make poor decisions. Who they are, right? And a lot of what the referrals are, I don't want to say a lot, but well, yeah, a lot. They do something impulsively, and then they can own it, and they forward their learning. They're hitting puberty. They're becoming more independent. They're pushing away from their parents. They're pushing away from us. They know what's better. But it's developmentally appropriate. You are supposed to push back when you're in middle school. And our job as the adults, and I say this all the time, is to say, and this is the line, and I told you I want you on the side of the line.
Right.
I love you, but get over here.
Right.
Right, and that's really a big part of it, or it's developmentally appropriate. And sometimes, it's hard sometimes. You say something 500 times, but it's part of them growing up. And when I do see them at high school age and stuff, you see for these kids, right?
Consistency is important, and I think tone of voice is really important.
Yeah.
Too, accusatorial, but, you know, little bits of, yes, I mean what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because believe me, kids can sniff out BS.
Oh, yes, they can.
More than ever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but, I mean, it's a ubiquitous statement, but it does take community. When you're in that school, every single person in that building is hugely important.
Yes, I
From a custodian to somebody that's directly involved with the students, you need to know their names, you need to know their interests. Oh, this kid's got a Yankees hat. Hey, I don't know Yankees. I mean, every little drop helps, because this world is so impersonal today. Lack of communication, everything's all just anonymous. The kids need truly real face-to-face, be of the moment, mindfulness, all those good things that you talk about. It's a huge job.
I was there for the sixth, picnic and the seventh breakfast, and then the eighth grade ice cream social that we had today. And, we were all saying at the end, we were all fearing this whole group of eighth graders to come in and get ice cream and how it was gonna go. And, to hear like 3/4 of them say please and thank you was like, we're like, yes, that's some growth here.
It's very powerful.
But it was neat, and it is neat to see some of the kids from last year now thriving at the high school. And I know some of this is just, again, age appropriate, and it doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of work to do at the middle school. I think we do. I just, looking at that number of 500,
I don't know how you handle about 3 a day. I think it's,
Uh,
on average, this is 3 a day.
Right on our toes.
They-
right?
yes, yeah.
Well, that's the place you can find it. Not,
Yeah,
yeah, because
exactly.
it is, you handle it. They're kids and they come in and there's a bazillion other things that are documented.
And speaking of which, so, the desert, features again, the best thing, and take it every time, looking at, aperture and desert is that the same student in our district is being looked at 3 times a year, by, the homeroom teacher or at the middle school and high school level, their advisory teachers and, that take me 5 minutes, 10 minutes to think about the student and their mental health and well-being. And, if you look at, the charts, I thought that I really liked the one that is the change in the social emotional competencies. And look at just the growth across the board in those social emotional competencies that from the pre and post in those areas, from needing instruction to typical areas. It's telling. What's that?
Those words mean,
So we're looking at
what's typical mean in this case?
typical means that developmentally appropriate. Yeah, exactly. That
That's right.
needs instruction means they're below average. Typical means, they are right where they're supposed to be. Yep, and developmentally appropriate. Strength, when you look at, 27% of our kids have strength, in the area. That's good. And, when 69% are typical and 27% are strength in those areas, we're doing pretty good. Like 4% of our kids, have a need for instruction. And we know who those 4% of kids are, and they're getting the instruction socially and emotionally. I think that, I think that's positive. And they are those kids that that ran to your grade. plus.
This emotional competence is based against some kind of standard or? The emotional competence is based on some kind of standard.
Yeah, so this whole program is based on, the Castle program, which is, social emotional competencies, which is the gold standard for, counseling, competencies. That was-
And you measure it. somehow.
this
That's
is-
okay.
Yeah, we measure, yeah.
It's a state board
standard.
and program, so it does state payment.
For a while, yeah,
Yeah.
at least through next year, I know, it's
Eight questions.
Yeah, well, and then if they, then they take longer to they need to. So, but it's still, at least there's, it gives you time to think about each child. So again, the carry board, through school year, from Partners for Leadership and, our equity, equity university group, and we have 14 members from, that represent schools and work that we did to the faculty meetings. Our school planning that Liza facilitated. We have 18 members in that focus group, and we chose to focus on well-being strategies for adults, and they did an adult well-being survey, and that fostered ideas for continuing and future purpose for adult well-being. Is from communication. And social worker completing her first year in district. And she was working full time for ESY for the summer, and she has been in 4 out of 5 buildings over this school year, and will be primarily housed at John Lyman School next year. A little bit of time with her at high school as well. Very good fit for us.
Committee report, policy committee, I know we just did this one, but. Yeah, so.
Policy committee met tonight. We're working on policies. The 5,000 series. We've gone through it. Almost all of them. There's some that we haven't worked on yet. 2 of them are that we're going to go over. I don't have one in student dress. We're going to have to spend some more time on that in terms of modern that. And the other one is non-resident students, which we need to spend time looking at. We will adopt version 2, but we need more time on that one to really focus in on the whole, on what we consider a non-resident student and the implications of all that, especially related to tuition. And building, that's the first one. The building committee met also tonight for 24 minutes.
It was very impressive.
Picket Lane, there's, basically drainage issue on the corner of Picket Lane and Maiden Lane. The west side, we've got engineers coming to solve that with some drainage issues that are coming up, that we can pay for. School facilities, then the referendum is, next Tuesday. Make sure you vote those who live here. Again, it has to pass in both towns. And it's important, I think, for us to get as much support out there as possible. The state grant for the field house, I have begun work on putting in 2 bathrooms there. There's some hold up with planning and zoning, but I think Lindsay has it straightened out. And they'll begin work shortly. That will get 2 bathrooms installed in the field house, which would then allow us to put lights up for the soccer and football fields. So those go up. You'll see a lot of activity at night next year. And so that's underway. Again, that's a state grant. It's paying for that. The athletic fields, one, the turf is starting on replacement on the field. It's starting June 13th or 14th, right after their graduation. So they won't be able to use the field or the track until they're done. The just the green stuff is getting replaced on the track. There's also been a drainage problem on the football field, or I mean the baseball field, both, and the softball field. Both of those are getting fixed, and we're going to put in a warning track around with drainage in it, and then some other work on creek drains throughout the property. The school tries to. Might have heard they couldn't use the field for the first 10 games this year. All went through baseball until bust out of here. So that was about it. And we have a thematic grant on USDA tennis, right?
I've done all the applications.
Yeah, that's really great.
And Bob will be back for some policy stuff.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Real quick, when we get it put out to the town, that's track's gonna be closed starting the 14th for a while.
Yes, yeah, it is. There's a giant sign on the track and both the towns have been notified. And then we've also notified the rec department, anyone that's using softball and baseball fields, that they're when it's likely as of the
Drainage is probably starting in July.
end of July, yeah, early August.
They've been in need of that for the last.
Yeah. Be a welcome addition in 2 years with. Student Achievement Committee?
So while the building committee met for 24 minutes, student achievement met for 12 minutes times 10 plus. So anyway, well, our first discussion was the 5th and 6th grade master schedule, which is on the agenda for later. So I'm going to skip that one. The second one had to do with a review and discussion of student data, which Dr. Siegel and I believe Steph probably up to put together a number of charts and graphs. I believe those were sent to the entire board, so everybody has copies of those. The link, yeah. So we reviewed the slides of some of the data that is currently available. SAT scores, iReady reading for grades 6 through 8, iReady math for grades K through 8, and the EL assessments. The DIBEL and the NGSS data was available, but not discussed in depth. SAT results show that numbers are declining slightly after COVID, which mirrors state scores. The SAT and SAT scores for the same students were compared. The following was noted. The beginning scores are lower each year with the SATs. In high school algebra, a lot of time is spent on teaching curriculum skills that students should already know, And that sub-coverage is an issue, and there might be other things that I kind of missed, but. So what's being done, planning a curricular review cycle in math. There's personalized professional development for staff. Possibly summer work on developing playlists and pre-assessments. I believe that's mostly for math. There's a need to address some of the content that may have been missed or not yet learned, and there's increasing math time scheduled for sixth graders. The iReady testing is being phased out because it doesn't provide the data needed, and students are not invested in the testing, especially as they get older. So the iReady reading was only done for grades 6 through 8. Dibbles is being used in its place, and over time, I believe that's what we'll have is Dibbles and no iReady. Again, overall, achievement scores are dropping slightly or staying the same and have not yet reached pre-COVID levels, as beginning scores are lower than the previous year. And as I said before, this has been a trend that is basically statewide when we looked at the state averages. This is the first year for EL assessment. There are 5 assessments, but not all grade levels take all 5 assessments, and not every child takes every assessment. And the reason for that, it depends on what skill level the student is at. If they've already reached a skill level, they don't retake the same skills, they go on to the next level. As I'm saying, if skills are mastered, students do not need to take the assessment. The benchmarked assessments are more competency-based, and the goal of these assessments is to see movement. And that's what is being seen, is movement. Especially, I believe, in the kindergarten level. Since the EL program is new, benchmarks and assessments are being improved based on feedback from districts using the program, so it's still a work in progress. There was some discussion about the NGSS, but we did not have reason available because testing was just happening at the time. I believe it's completed now, but we didn't have the data. The Achievement Committee will continue to revisit assessment results as soon as they are available. Unless somebody wanted to add anything.
Can I also add, we didn't say it at the meeting, but I believe in our planning meeting, it is our intent, if it's still okay with you, Lucy, that we're going to, start up again in August, change the format to in-person. From the Google Meet format, it seems like that format, for whatever reason, just isn't as conducive for that committee functioning as well, as it does with building and policy and the other one in person. So again, that's your call as chair, but that was kind of the consensus of staff and the board that was part of that.
We'll have, I mean, we
Anyone
do
can
have to
call
look
it,
at
can't make it.
that 4 o'clock could be tough, so we might have to think we're gonna do in person. We might choose the time. Cause I know Linda and we made something.
And we had to go to 4:30.
Yeah, we had said we'll do whatever. I think that the trade-off, it's harder for board members to get here. We'd like to bring a lot more teachers and staff members, and it's a much easier sell for them to come at 4 and not to ask them to come back at a later time. But whatever the board wants to do in that space, we'll do that.
I think whatever we can do to make sure everybody is there, you know, I want to be respectful of that 4 o'clock for the staff. I just want to make sure we also have both of us there.
Right. No,
Right.
Is it possible to link it up with regular board meeting?
Oh, do you mean like a hybrid?
Like the pre-workshops at 5.
Oh, yeah. We could, I mean, we do policy at 4 regularly. That's a challenge for somebody to get here for that too. So.
At some point, the frequency of policy will reduce, right?
One would hope.
There's a lot of policy this
I would think so.
Yeah. For communications, professional development, I will keep this one short on the end of year events. We were thankful to get a very long list of events from Meg for the end of the year, which is kind of what we asked for last year. We had missed some stuff. Bob and I have been doing the whirlwind of RSD 13 the past week or so, between the Brewster Festival, the band concert, the chorus concert, the mock crash demonstration, a lot of these spring fling formals, some of most of the playoff games or even some of the regular season games. We've been trying to get to as many, and it's been nice. We've been able to make a lot of connections with families that we normally haven't had a chance to talk to, and meet some of these kids who are outstanding musicians and student athletes. It's been a great week. Coming into graduation next week, it's nice to see these faces and know a lot of these kids now. If Drew could press play on this one, Bob and I were able to spend a little bit of time with the Unified Sports Group when they were here from Panama. It's very quick. It's a culmination of some of the pictures that the group from Panama actually posted on Instagram. And it really was incredible to see some of these kids not being able to communicate with words, but still having compassion and empathy for each other was incredible. You know, you watch everybody, you laugh, you cry, you see connections that you never thought would be able to happen.
That's a great sign.
It was a great sign. Yeah, they were at the beach, kayaking. It's done. But you can tell just by what they have posted online since they've left, they miss everybody here and they just can't wait for you guys to get there. I was able to get down for the opening ceremonies.
We to have some exceptional guests here with us tonight. 8 youth leaders and 4 adult mentors from Special Olympics Panama. And 8 youth leaders and 4 adult mentors from Regional School District 13 who are part of a Special Olympics Global Unified Youth Exchange.
Tenemos suerte de tener algunos invitados excepcionales aquí con nosotros esta noche. Tenemos 8 líderes juveniles y 4 mentores adultos de Olimpiadas Especiales Panamá y lo mismo de Regional School District 13, que forman parte de un intercambio juvenil unificado global de Olimpiadas Especiales.
This program unites youth leaders with and without intellectual disabilities from different cultures around a shared commitment to inclusive collaboration, authentic engagement, and furthering awareness of Special Olympics programming in their school and community.
Este programa une a líderes juveniles con y sin discapacidad intelectual de diferentes culturas en torno a un compromiso compartido con la colaboración inclusiva, el compromiso auténtico y la promoción del conocimiento de la programación de las Olimpiadas Especiales en su escuela y su comunidad.
The project lead is Rob Bajoros, the United Sports Coach at Coginchaug Regional High School. Let's give them a warm welcome. Their travel wouldn't have been possible without our friends at Thule and their generous donation of luggage to make their journey possible. We are grateful for their contribution.
El líder del proyecto es Rob Bajoros de Coginchaug. Él es entrenador de deportes unificados a la escuela Coginchaug. Y su viaje no habría sido posible sin nuestros amigos en Thule y su generosa donación de equipaje para hacer posible su viaje. Y estamos muy agradecidos por su contribución. Gracias.
All right, thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate it. We didn't even rehearse that. You see that? That went pretty well. All right, here we go. Now, at this time, I'd like to welcome back my friend Justin, and we are going to introduce the teams that are participating here in the 2024 Summer Games. So now,
When I came through, so, we fought, huh? I did not see you fall, and I did hear about it, but I heard it was graceful, or possibly. But it was great to see, and it's great to see, you know, even one student from Coginchaug that's one of the peer models is missing out on the Panama trip in order to support his sports team this fall. And you can see it completely breaks his heart to not go on that trip, and not because it's Panama, but the connections that he has made with these kids was huge. And, you know, even in like the hour or two that Bob and I were at the high school day, it was phenomenal. Anything we do to keep moving that in every direction or district, I think is beneficial to everybody. So, thank you.
It just shows how important to have global connections is for these kids, and more we can engage and other communities to come here or go there is a huge benefit to school, the kids,
There wasn't a single ounce of communication. They managed to communicate. They found a way, whether it was a hug or not, they were like, oh, hey, they were hugging, and occasionally they had, the translators saying things, but for the most part, they were just having fun, learning.
It's really just the part of, having special education in the least restricted environment and is, inclusion and, watch, our children grow from preschool to high school and the amount that they learn and grow from each other, from our special education students and our peer role models, that they just teach each other and learn and grow from each other. That's so.
Looking forward to seeing what you guys come back with and what pictures and take lots of videos and pictures and all.
Go to the canal.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, lots of new business. We'll try to get through these as quickly as we possibly can. New business discussion on 2024-2025 master schedule changes for Strong and Memorial. And some of this does come from student achievement. Some of this comes from what we've been talking about over the course of the year with fifth grade, between student achievement and the board, on some changes that seem to be pretty significant in master schedule changing that master schedule that might be kind of changing how we're presenting curriculum. And so we're gonna have a discussion. I know everyone has in their emails. I think Cheryl and whoever sent out that the master schedules are in there. I don't know if you want to start. Does anyone get a hard copy of it? I'll take one over here.
I think it's half around. You can take one if you want. One's fourth and one's fifth.
And I didn't ask Cheryl or Noel to do formal presentations simply because that happened at student achievement for most of the course. So if you want them to brief, they can, but if you just want to start with questions,
yeah,
maybe as follow-up, that might be easier. Not just because.
You want,
Yeah.
Linda, do you want to hold up?
Anybody?
Look at me. Look how prepared I am. I've heard of that.
You got it.
It is not. Oh.
Lindsay.
And I will
So
note that.
I mean, I can go through a little bit if you want. So I think some of the concerns, looking at, the schedules for Memorial and Fifth. So, we first wanted to make sure that the spirit of science and social studies was staying intact. So a part of this, I don't know if you want to explain how social studies of science may work in this new schedule for.
Sure, so this new schedule is having been an elementary teacher for years, this is how the elementary schools operate in K-4. This is how they have operated within the school years that you get your related art schedule, and then from that, the teachers build their schedule based on like how much time they want to designate to each content area. So these are sample student schedules. This is nothing is set in stone. I made up all the related arts times that, so please do not hold me to fifth grade having, math at 8:15 on a Tuesday. That is just a sample. So what this does, this schedule just resembles an elementary model where we really want to give time to build those connections, relationships, and deepening their social emotional learning, which is really important. So what we currently see happening, and I gave you fourth and fifth, even though the discussion's about fifth, because I also think it's really important that you see that one of my purposes in doing this and going through this model is to get one building under one model. The way that we were currently running is 3 grades, 2 grades follow elementary model, 1 grade follows like an ad hoc middle school model. So, especially when trying to think about consistency across the building as with, teachers, students, and service providers, being under one model really helps all of that, ensure some consistency in the programs that the students are receiving. So what both schedules do is they ensure what we've talked about before with curriculum. We want to try for about 2 hours a day of ELA. Now, obviously, these are our what we wish for it to be, knowing that some days you might have a little bit less than that, or some days you might have a little bit more than that. Feedback from teachers was that the way that we had ELA running this year with the EL program was that we were doing 2 hours back to back. It does naturally have, when you're teaching the modules and the all block for grades 3, 4, 5, which are the two components of the EL program, they do naturally embed a lot of transitions and movement. Please know that no one by any means is sitting for 2 hours. It breaks you into a small, full group, then a small group, then an individual, then a partner. There's a lot of movement for that 2 hours. But what the teachers would rather do is have the module being taught in 1 hour session, and then the all block, which is more like strategic groups, individual work, partner work, in another block, because it is different types of prep that the teacher's doing too, to kind of set up both. So, as well as the fact that, you know, the students at this age really do benefit from a transition with something in the middle, like, you know, a related arts, or even switching a different content area, or a lunch or a recess, something like that. So you'll see that I pulled ELA apart. I also made sure that what is currently happening in a lot of the classrooms is that starting with a soft start, which the soft start is more of a time right now that everyone getting free breakfast is wonderful. Almost every single child gets breakfast every single day, and parents are always surprised because their children eat at home. But it is more like that social time. They're eating their cereal. They're also, and with the soft start, they might also be playing Legos. Somebody else is playing Jenga. They're playing card games. It was amazing to see how many children had not played Go Fish and certain card games before, or board games or like Uno, just games that you kind of take for granted. So that has been a great way to kick off the mornings with that soft start. So I wanted that to continue for both grades. And then you'll also see there's about an hour of math every day. It is roughly an hour. It might be a little bit off on some of the days there. And then science or social studies, as is done in the K-4 classroom, they alternate if you're teaching science or if you're teaching social studies, just depending on the unit. So you might teach a science unit and then social studies unit, science and social studies. And so that's why it says like the SS for social studies or science. So that winds up equating to, when I looked at both schedules, so the sample 4th grade one has between 25 minutes to 45 minutes of science or social studies a day. The 5th grade schedule has 1 day of no social studies, but that's because they have help for half a year. So when it's not help, they'll go to that science or social studies, which also is reflected in the 4th grade schedule. But then they go from 40 minutes up to an hour of social studies or science a day, depending. And then it also takes into account what I tried to put in each one are some elements that the teachers really think are necessary for developing a community within their class, like the shared read aloud and the class meeting. Not that the read aloud is always connected to, or actually, I haven't really seen many of these read alouds actually going along the EL module. They're more the books that talk about a lot of our core ethical values and just character traits. And just those novels that have really kind of touched and inspired the classroom communities to grow. So that would be the read aloud, and then the class meeting follows more of a responsive classroom approach to class meetings. We also have that both grade levels have our town meetings or community clubs. And for about a half hour a week. It also has their related arts in here. And then also being practical, like classes do end, all elementary classrooms end before that, you know, essential bell or like that bill you might think of ringing at 2:35. They're starting to pack up and do their classroom jobs, which is also a part of responsive classroom, and that all happens about 2:25. So I wanted to account for that in here, as well. And then it shows, you can see band in both of the blocks. You can see their enrichment block in not both the blocks. You can see band on both schedules, enrichment on both schedules. And take any questions.
Yeah, we went over today a policy on play.
Yeah,
Is there play? Is there
well,
recess?
oh gosh, yeah, so they have, I'm sorry.
So they got.
Lunch and recess are here. I don't talk, yeah, I didn't mention them. They're in the schedule. They're
I
there
see
for a
it.
full hour there. Yeah, a half hour of both.
Yeah.
The play is,
Yeah.
for the grades 3 through, actually, 2 through 5.
It's two through five is in the legislation that we have to provide professional learning to staff members grades 2 through 5, but it needs to be actually implemented in pre-K through first grade classrooms.
And then I misspoke, I thought it was just kindergarten. First grade?
Yeah, I think it's first grade, it's pre-K to grade 1, because I remember thinking it was one grade level below my current grade was the professional learning, so that would be 2. So grades 2 and up, we're getting the professional learning, which we've already done one faculty meeting. The faculty meeting went very well. I think it's Karen Gray, I think is her name, is the consultant that came. And there are certain elements of play that we could try to bring in, you know, next year. It all just depends on how the professional learning goes, when it is actually, when those time slots are actually allocated for in our curriculum, and what we do next with it. Mhm.
I was just happy to hear you say at the very onset how, like, this is just an example of how it may go.
Yeah.
Because the best learning is going to happen interdisciplinarily.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, on this Monday, like, the opportunity is there for the teacher to do a 2-hour, I mean, obviously not saying it, but like the EL lends itself to social studies. And in some places it lends itself to science as well. So, I'm very happy to hear that, because I saw this, I was like, what? This is like very middle school. But I know mine did it
Yeah.
like this.
I just wanted you to see all the.
Sure, yeah, yeah, so, but I'm glad you did say that, because that was my big thing, and the fact that the opportunity still exists for the teachers to use that time creatively.
Very much.
Not
so.
just the opportunity, the expectation.
It is the expectation, yes, and I have to say that was my, well, not my favorite part of being a teacher for so many years, but one of the pieces that I loved was that if something was going down the road of, oh, we need a correction, or, oh my goodness, they're so engaged, I can't stop this now. I could do what I wanted. I had that professional judgment, and I could make that call myself. So I could tweak the whole lesson and throw it out the door and try from scratch again. Or if something was going really well, we would just be able to extend it. So that is part of that elementary, is you do have the piece of the content areas to weave in the different disciplines, but then also really capture those moments when, you know, the room is abuzz with learning and they're ready to go. And although it might be the end of ELA time at 10:15, they still want to keep going for 15 more minutes or however long, and you do, you know.
They're gonna change teachers during this time?
No. No.
Both grades will be teaching all subjects?
Yeah. Yeah, we have discussed I've discussed with both teams some options, but we're not, we are starting the school year this way. We did talk about maybe what are some ways we can, like in math, like linking in the playlists, and how could that work if you wanted to be able to, let's say that there was something that one student from one, or a couple students from one class and a couple students from another class were really at the same part, and you wanted to get them together, like, could we do that? Would the teachers be open to it? How would that work logistically? So there is, like discussion like that, but that the schedule is being crafted by a teacher being the sole teacher of that grade, that classroom for the year.
Does the science and social studies section. Like, to me, it looks like a reduction in social studies, and so correct me if I'm wrong. And if it is a reduction, can we meet the current pacing guides?
So, there is not, I don't think it's a reduction by any means, like, I would have to look at how many hours, I didn't bring my fifth grade schedule, but one of the reasons
Well,
we
it's an
had,
increase in social studies from last year's schedule. I'm saying from the prior year, from the year
but
before.
part of the problem with that schedule though, was we were not teaching enough math or enough I shouldn't say enough, that's the wrong word to use. We were
Last
not
year's
teaching
schedule
for
or
the
this
top.
year's schedule?
The one where we switched with the 5, because the periods were 45 minutes. We would like to increase the instructional time. So when we went to last year's schedule, we got math to go to an hour of instructional time, because especially when you're switching classes, that 45 minutes was maybe 38 on a good day.
So that increase in math.
So
was
last year
the
that was-
reduction in social, or the elimination of social studies.
And social studies was not eliminated, and social studies curriculum was taught. It was not taught in the same module using the same computer, using the computer-based textbook that the students had used the year prior, but we still covered the curriculum the way that was supposed to be covered. So we still followed the
Inquiry
curriculum.
versus content, though? You're talking about
Hmm?
inquiry content, or are you talking about content? Did the topics within the pacing guides get covered for 4th and 5th grade for this year?
Yes, unless someone's telling me something different. Like, yes, they did. They felt, when I met with the team, they felt, I didn't ask, did you cover every single content piece on the curriculum? They said they did this unit at this time, that unit at that time. I saw the learning taking place in the classroom. But in elementary school, we don't necessarily have like an end of unit assessment or anything like that. We're not giving assessments like that for science or social studies. It's usually either maybe a project, or like I know when they were just doing settling of the United States and early civilization, they had done this, they had to be like detectives from the past and put together the clues of like Roanoke and some of the other colonies that were settled and what made them successful versus unsuccessful, and they were detectives about
That 4th
Roanoke.
or 5th?
That was 5th. So that's.
So they,
pretty
but
cool
was
stuff.
that the projects that they started to do when they started reducing the amount of science and adding the lessons for social studies halfway through the year, or was that happening all year long?
So the Roanoke stuff was just this like winter, spring, I want to say, something
So
around.
when they started switching off from science to social studies?
That
in
was
about
there, yep,
February.
and we made that adjustment at the beginning of the year. They had worked, we were trying to do it during that open studio block, but I explained that during student achievement committee a couple of weeks ago. That just didn't work. We just did not have we didn't have any students in the classes to actually do that at that point in time. And then even when they tried to do it as small groups, because our coach worked with some teachers too and tried to do it in small groups, and you still are missing a whole group of your class every single week, regardless. So that didn't work. But I do feel like I have the utmost respect for our teachers when they say that they feel that the curriculum is being covered and they've covered the curriculum. Was it the same way that the curriculum was taught in 5th grade 2 years ago? No, I don't think so, because we did not use an online textbook and they weren't reading chapters and answering questions like they were before. But at the same time, like the curriculum was covered. Whatever instructional approach you're going to use to cover that curriculum is up to the discretion of each teacher. And every teacher does vary it slightly, even when you go in for the math class, or even when I go in to see the EL lesson. Yes, it might be the same lesson, but each teacher kind of puts their own spin on it too. So I trust our teachers and I trust our coach to say if something wasn't covered, and I
don't think that, and that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not questioning whether the teachers were teaching the topics. I'm asking based on the issues that we had last year, and you explained it. I just want to be clear, I'm not judging or questioning our teachers. Like, they're doing what they can with what they have at the time last year, with very hectic changes in their schedule in order to meet what we were asking for when we thought that maybe things weren't aligning with what we needed for that grade level. What I'm asking is that, did they have this? Did they have what they needed in order to teach what is in this current pacing guide? Because what I feel I don't like is that we have a website that has our curriculum, our pacing guides, our content. And when parents go to look at these and they see that their kids are supposed to be learning certain things by certain levels, if we're not going to be teaching those subjects from the beginning without the board asking during the year, are we meeting these things? Are the kids learning social studies? Are they doing it? And I think that that's where a lot of this, I don't want to say distrust, because I really don't think it's that. It's just wanting to figure out, we're here talking about master schedules because of confusion on what happened last year. We want to make sure that the kids are learning what they're supposed to be learning in the ways that they're supposed to be learning it, and not in giant changes in a schedule. And I kind of think, looking back, going from sixth grade, it would make sense if we talked about the sixth grade first, because I think it falls backwards from there. We were asked to pull EL up to that sixth grade. And based on all of the issues and concerns last year with the fifth grade schedule, it's very hard for us to grasp a giant change in that sixth grade schedule. And so because of that, we're now in a realm where we are looking through master schedules because we are concerned. And if you look at student achievement all year, we asked questions, we were confused as to why social studies wasn't being taught. We thought, in what realm were we not teaching social studies? Like, how could that not be happening? Oh, it's happening during an open studio. I understand that, but that wasn't happening. Kids were being pulled out for different reasons, for intervention, for music, and they weren't meeting those projects. And we constantly have to reinvent the wheel, but do we have to reinvent the wheel in such ways where, for lack of a better word, we're just trying and experimenting with different options to get there? So if anyone has any other questions. Do you have any questions?
I just was concerned that the social studies of sciences could be every day they could be getting science by the teacher all week, or do they meet social? Do they have to have social studies and science? You know, basically 2.5 periods a week.
What typically happens in the elementary model is that you shift off, and you might be in a social studies unit for like a few weeks or a month or so, and then you switch off to like a science unit. It's not like a social studies one day, science the next day. Just in elementary education, I really haven't seen that. It's too much of a disconnect for them. And I know like a lot of times in science or social studies, what you're doing is like more of like a long-term project. So I think about grade premium, and they start off with life cycles. And so to actually do the life cycle piece, they need to be doing consistent observations of their their caterpillars and how they transform the monarch butterflies. Like there's a lot of different pieces that are part of like the observation process.
So they would do that for a few weeks till the moth patch didn't have.
Yeah,
Then
basically.
they would start talking about Abraham Lincoln next week.
Yes, I mean, hopefully it's a more impactful transition, but yeah.
I had a couple of, did you want to say anything else? Okay. I did have a couple of questions that I wanted to follow up on, from the Student Achievement Committee, regarding the strong related arts schedule. I just wanted to clarify, because when we got these were fantastic. I can read these in my sleep. I've seen a lot of these before, but it looks like instead of related arts being 4 days a week for a sixth grader, they're going to have them 2 days a week, and not for 80 minutes, but for maybe 51. Okay, so I just wanted to confirm and clarify that. And my second question was just the level of input that the staff, the teachers, the related arts teachers, the current certified staff, the sixth grade teachers had in, or the level of input that they had in developing the schedule, whether it be like survey, communication committees, department meetings.
So the sixth grade team had more communication with it. They definitely wanted every day. I do think, some of them would have preferred shorter periods, but for 45 minutes a day, you lose the time and both ends of it. The other thing that really where my head is going when I'm looking at increasing ELA and math is that it's more of an elementary model. So when I look at a fifth grader is at Memorial and they get 600 minutes a week of ELA, and then they come to Strong and they get 210. That's a huge drop off. Same thing with math, right? They get 300 there, and then they come here and they get 210. So this is now increasing that for them. So that's where, and with any schedule, there's always, you can't do everything. Something takes precedence over something else. I do think for our sixth graders, it is important for them to get those basic skills. And that's what's going to allow them to engage in more of the related arts.
So the,
I was just to go back to the actual question, it was kind of, what was the process for input for the teacher? So I did speak with them, it wasn't a formal process.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, because I seem to recall our last meeting, it was implied, and I didn't even there, it was implied that they were very actively involved in the creation. Oh, no, they've had input,
Sure.
Obviously, like I talked to them before anything came to fruition. I would definitely want to hear what their perspective is on it.
Thank you. And then, so I actually did have one more question. So
Sorry, I
for
didn't
kids who,
question.
no, it's okay. So for the kids who are receiving, based on their IEPs, like required time spent in either, intervention, et cetera, will they have assistance in those classes, or will they get pulled from the 80-minute blocks in the morning or the afternoon, or like some combination?
The way I foresee it happening, it would be both in the afternoon, for students who would get for OG or resource. And yeah, it would come from the afternoon. And then students who have, would benefit from a co-talk will have two teachers.
So I just have some thoughts, and I know, and we know, the board knows, like it's not our job to create a school schedule. We have no, like if we gave suggestions, advice based on experience, data, whatever, you could take it or you could leave it. But I do want to pivot, and I want to ask just Doug a couple of questions, because our role isn't to manage the organization of the individual schools. That's you guys, that's your wheelhouse. Just like it's the teacher's wheelhouse to deliver the content. We're not going to go into teachers' classrooms and tell them how they teach science or how they teach social studies or reading. It would be inappropriate, and that's not our job. But we do have a job to manage policy for operation of the district. We do have the job to establish a strategic plan for continuing academic success, continuous improvement. We do have the job of adopting sound curriculum across all programs. And we do have the job to hire the superintendent to execute those policies and make sure that we're reaching our annual goals based on what's supposed to be a strategic 5-year plan, a strategic 5-year plan. And I think the bigger issue is, and this is why I want to direct my questions to you, Doug, is that our policies say that our class sizes shouldn't be they should be between 21 and 25. And if you take 118 students that are coming up from 5th grade and divide it by 4, that's 29.5. That's too many kids in a related arts class. It's too many kids to be standing around a table saw. It's too many kids to be standing around like buckets of scissors in the art room. That's a policy concern that I have in terms of what has come out of this plan. I also have curriculum concerns. up until just recently, there used to be a process for when changes to curriculum would come about. The board would weigh in on that. The board would either approve it or participate. And there were procedures and policies online that were very clear. So like, we wouldn't be putting administrators in the position where they're defending whether or not their teachers are actually teaching the curriculum, because there would be curricular reviews every 3 years. And I was really happy to hear that the math department is going to be doing a curricular review soon. But that seems to not be on the website anymore. There's nothing related to how we establish curriculum, how it gets reviewed, and how it gets approved. And that's state policy. That's state policy that we're supposed to do that. So when we have HALVE, related arts time for students, that's a significant impact to curriculum that we should be discussing and putting forward. And when we're doubling ELA curriculum, it might be a really great idea, but we also need to talk about that in terms of, you know, being on the same page. And then we can be rowing in the same direction instead of feeling like, you know, you're coming and you're presenting and we're like, you know, interrogating with questions. Like that shouldn't be what's happening right now. We should be moving in the same direction to improve the district, to improve the student experience. And I really feel for the teachers that are in the position now. International Baccalaureate decided to take a look at like teacher well-being and student well-being post-COVID. And they found when they were looking at data that one of the best indicators for student achievement was the teacher. And I feel like if our teachers aren't feeling like their voices are being heard, that we are going to lose them. They polled something like, and 50% of teachers are thinking about leaving the profession. We can't fill summer programs for families who are interested in them because of staffing. So what I would love to do is figure out if at the next policy committee meeting, we could really look at the state guidelines in terms of curriculum review, look at other districts, see what the policies are regarding curriculum development and review, so that we can all be on the same page and have a place to move forward from instead of continually rewinding. So Lindsay, I think as a chair, I can ask you to do that. And then Doug, I would just ask, like, if the schedule does move forward as proposed, how are we going to evaluate its efficacy? Is it going to be through test scores? Is it going to be through staffing surveys? And you don't have to answer that now, but it would be good to know so that when we do look at student achievement data down the road, we can look and evaluate and make some assessments there. Thanks.
I have a quick question for Noel. I was gonna ask before. All the students take music. Do they all take band as well? So what happens to the students during the band time that don't take band?
So fourth grade, they essentially all take things. I don't know the numbers off my head, off the top of my head, who has now opted out. Fifth grade is when we see a few more students that may have tried it for a year, but then decided it just wasn't for them. And those students currently rotate between the 5 fifth grade teachers. So they might go to, you know, one class 1 week during band time. And a lot of times they're working on like an assignment that they needed to complete, long-term projects. Maybe they're getting some small group work. It could be that if they're not in band, but also maybe what we see like intervention or special education services, that is the #1 time that goes with all the student schedules. So any students that might, or even not even those first students that we see like counseling or something like that, that is the time that they might be getting services provided too. Yeah, it really depends.
How many don't take band in there?
I can find it.
And I mean, I just didn't know all the.
Maybe 20. Maybe,
So for
I
the-
have to look. It does fluctuate though, so, you know, we might start off the year with maybe like 5, and then throughout the year, especially if they try in fifth grade to play a few more complex pieces, and it is important to practice outside of your band lesson time. You do see a few more students drop when they're, not really interested in practicing it anymore.
So those kids are being pulled from band for counseling or intervention. One of the kids from band.
They wouldn't be pulled from
Oh, they're
band.
not.
Yeah, well, so only the students that were not going to.
Right,
band
but I'm
would
saying,
get-
so what about the kids that are in band? When are they pulled for that?
That's when they work their magic and find a way with the classroom teacher, and all of the service providers do an outstanding job of collaborating with the classroom teachers to find the time that would least impact instructional time. And that's why we do have like lunch and recess, busiest time for our counselors, speech language pathologists, our psychologists, because we're doing a lot of lunch breaks during that time. So that is the time.
One of the things I would just kind of like to suggest if you're looking at scheduling, if you have, it's not so much an issue, I believe, for the middle school, because all the sixth grade teachers will be doing math at the same time. So that when you talk about student-centered learning, if the teachers are all doing the same subject at the same time, you can mix and match groups into whatever classrooms. I mean, I've done it before with a teacher that was on a different team. And we just happened to connect a language arts time, and we were mixing and matching our students.
It has been that way.
So, yeah, so, but I mean, that just makes it so much easier if as much as possible, they're doing a specific subject at the same time. You can really do a lot of stuff that way.
Like pretty confidently that they're not going to all 5 teachers will not be teaching the same subject at the same time every day. And
Right.
that in part is due to the related arts schedule. So
Right.
they all have related arts at different times. So that it's not gonna work that it always falls that way, but they do a lot of planning together and a lot of collaborating together. So quite often their schedules will jive, and my hope is that, there'll at least be 3 teachers on it. We have teams of 5, so at least 3 and 2, will have similar schedules that kind of run parallel to each other. So we can do that.
I know you could do it at middle school. It can be done very well.
I have a question on I know you didn't, we'll give a pretty good overview of fourth and fifth, looking at that sixth grade schedule and the 3 80-minute blocks for the core subjects. My 2 questions are, how is special education weighing in on the 80-minute blocks? Do they have any concerns on the 80-minute blocks for the core subjects? And have the teachers had any concerns on the retention for social studies and science coming from, and I know we talked a little bit about it, student achievement, but I think it's a concern the full board should hear. If we start social studies in the fall and then they switch halfway through the year in January through the rest of the year, and then they don't have social studies back again for that following period, what are they missing in current events that are currently happening? What are they missing in retention for science? And how do you account for that?
I haven't heard any concern over the retention component of it. It is a model that is used frequently in 6th grade. I know I looked up a few of them. Guilford does it. When it no longer exists, it's now in Beaman, but they always did it.
Does Beaman currently do it? Does Beaman currently do it?
I don't think, I don't know, to be honest, but that was something that was done when Kay was 6th grade school. It was the half year of each. So I haven't heard concerns about that. I do want to answer Tina's question about like I'm not gonna kids in any related events. You should know that it's similar to what Noel was saying. So we have 117 coming up, 33 of them are identified. That doesn't include students who also get intervention or have other services. So they would be pulled out through there, but they would still have some related arts. They just wouldn't have everything in there. So I don't, no, we wouldn't put 20. in any.
And you may know this, but all of us did add a sixth grade teacher for the core content areas so that the class sizes in math, ELA, history, and science would be within the range that you discussed. I know you did brought up for that reason, brought up for later. Just wanted to make sure. You probably knew that because you're following the budget, but we're not on the board then, so. And that's not insignificant, adding, in this environment, adding teachers, so. we
But
thought-
that's why she had a concern on related arts. 'cause
Yes,
she
no, I
did know
totally
that that
understand.
addition
Yeah, I'm
was
glad you
happening.
answered that, sure.
Yeah. Is the seventh grade a new schedule? No, we put it for comparison. Yep, thank you. Have you noticed anything? I was looking at one thought I had, and this sample student has like a really academic heavy Friday. And like, Mondays and Fridays are receiving those absences. I'm wondering, have you noticed anything? No. Yeah, again, I was
No,
just curious.
but I'll look at that now. Yeah, because what that does is it rotates. So it's probably,
Okay, so-
academics like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday is my guess.
Right.
I'm not looking at
Right,
that.
right, right. So to me, rotation means like A, B, A, B, A, B.
Oh,
But this is
no.
Monday through Friday.
Right, and we
Yeah.
also rotate, time of day
Yep,
because
okay.
that's.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just, we had made an effort years ago to really focus in on STEM program, STEAM program. And it seems like, it's only 2 quarters in sixth grade, all year. And it just seems like it's, kind of gets away from our ideas of STEM unless we're gonna have a lot more control in science. And technology, it just seems like it's pretty weak. I don't know if the answer is, it just looks like we're not really focusing a lot on that STEM issues any longer.
But what I would argue
We got it.
respectfully is that
Not
for
to be
sixth grade, it's more of a, no.
Yeah.
I would argue, for sixth grade, we're looking at more of an elementary model to continue to build upon. It's a big transition, first of all, for them to come to middle school and focus more on the core academics, with the literacy and numeracy. And then as they get into the seventh and eighth grade, they have plenty of opportunity to do more of that.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question too, Bob, and I think, the one thing we want to reassure everyone who didn't come out of student achievement is the total amount of instructional time for math and history are not changing in this model. And I hear you say, I'm sorry, science and history. You say 2 quarters of each. What can be done when you have it every day for that length of time in terms of lab experiments and things like that? I say that as a science teacher who taught on both models. It can be very powerful. It still depends on the skill set of the teacher. I would also I would also state that the M in STEAM is math. And there's a deliberate effort to increase math instruction. And this also speaks to the continuity thing. In my experience in education as a STEM teacher and as a leader, mathematical ability or the lack thereof is going to become a gatekeeper for all the science offerings as the kids get older. I can say this as a former physics and AP physics teacher, and the same would be true for chemistry and a lot of other subjects. It wasn't so much did they have the physics and chemistry content when they were in middle school. Yeah, they need to be exposed to those terms and learn those things. I'm not arguing they shouldn't. But if they couldn't do math, a lot of times they never got placed or even requested to take, and then they didn't want to be part of any of those STEAM or STEM careers either. So not a perfect world where we can do everything, but I want to make sure that I don't feel like that schedule shows any less commitment to STEAM than the current schedule. I would also add, and maybe this helps you get kind of island to see this. Who's your second year? I'm sorry, it's late. And this is your third year?
finishing my third.
Okay, so, I think one of the benefits of bringing new principals in is to look at what is and try to determine, are we just gonna keep doing what we've done because that's what we've done? And I think in both situations, they both inherited situations where they feel like these could be improved. Is what they're planning to do perfect? We don't know. To Tina's question, we're gonna have to evaluate and see, and maybe even make course corrections during the year. But I do think just coming in as a newbie during the whole COVID thing, it appeared to me that sixth grade got moved over to strong and just kind of got absorbed into what was made strong. But we didn't ever really take a hard look at, should that be as it is? And so I think there is wisdom in at least considering, should sixth grade be different than seventh and eighth, whether it's this or something else, considering that in many districts and a lot of education circles, sixth grade is really considered more elementary, developmentally and socially and a lot of those things. And in a lot of places, it's middle school, going back to the old junior high model and things like that. So I'm not saying this is perfect, but I just wanted to thank these guys for doing it, because the easiest thing for a leader to do is just continue what you've always done and not try to figure out better ways to improve. And the focus for both of them is an increased commitment to math and English language arts, which we feel like, again, are the gatekeepers to every other content area that we teach in school.
Which I do think can be done, but still with the board's directive, that there's certain things that we expected from the middle school, which were those electives, which if we talk about social emotional learning, the amount that these sixth graders got from that cooking elective alone and how it got them engaged in the classes and their peers and the teachers was so important. And it was such a huge directive that the board gave. To see sixth not get what seventh and eighth is going to get next year, even though I understand, and I know you're about to tell me that there are certain electives based on the world language teacher and something else, it's different than the seventh and eighth graders. If we're trying to make community and we're trying to build community within these buildings, to have sixth be so drastically different and then take away some of the things that the board really feels is important, those electives were huge. And I understand, I feel like we can still do that and still prioritize ELA and math. And Bob says at almost every meeting that he's concerned about STEAM. I am concerned. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about STEAM. I'm concerned about science and social studies.
This is a question for Doug and for Kim. Do we have money to to pay teachers for curriculum development over the summer? I'm thinking specifically about like when they're the world cultures teachers who are leaving in a week and are going to come back to a new elective in the fall. Are they going to be paid to develop curriculum over the summer? Great.
Yes, we have several, we had a form that went out to all teachers, and they were able to send their project ideas and curriculum work in, and then we send out the hours.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
I don't mean to, I just, we don't use the term much anymore. And it was always one of those goals that the board has had. But I don't think there's any more important than looking at our math and ELA scores. Our math scores, we have to focus. And maybe in seventh and eighth grade, we need more math as well. Because, we're not, when we look at 20% at grade level in eighth grade, they're not going to do well when they come to this school. And we need to get that up.
And Bob, to that point, I've seen the schedule all the way up through eighth grade. We didn't feel like it was appropriate to do that big of a change in 1 year. And I'm not even sure that Cheryl's thinking about that, but I just wanted to know that other places have gone there because they realized that those subjects are really important. And once they get to high school, it changes. We all know that. And then it's kind of whatever they enter high school with, what we gave them, and then things are a lot different.
I had mentioned this during the last student achievement meeting as well. I mean, wonderful opportunity with the Doug's classes to emphasize math. you know, have a collaboration between the math teachers. What can we do in a hands-on way, a kinesthetic way, to enhance the learning of things on the math class? It's very, very powerful, without a doubt. And it's an opportunity, in my opinion.
I would hope that maybe perhaps by around mid-year, maybe like November or December meeting, we get an update on how these changes are going. Even before, you know, a couple months into the year, we'll just keep tabs on it throughout the year and see how it's going. I think that would be very helpful.
Update, like, so are you saying like an anecdotal update, are you saying survey update, are you saying achievement update?
I think
I just like that.
I think because we're
plan
struggling
things
with
out.
knowing that we're concerned we're in a pattern where we were last year, where we were concerned about the fifth grade schedule and very active and very. And when that started at the beginning of the year, there were concerns. If you go back every meeting, it was a concern. Doug and I had many conversations about concerns that I had from parents and from teachers that the schedule was not going to work the way that it was intended to work. It proved that it didn't work. The open studio didn't work. We had to pivot halfway through the year to make sure that social studies was accounted for in the curriculum. We, like Lucy just said, you know, we're looking for updates, and my fear is that we're going to get halfway through the year, or we're going to get in November, and I'm going to feel like I did in the fall, wondering if we are meeting the needs of the curriculum and the students and the staff. And I just want some reassurance that that's not going to be where we are next year.
And I think what I had asked when I finished up earlier was to ask Doug to come back with what data is going to be used to determine the efficacy and the success of the schedule change. So I wouldn't necessarily put it, no, you're going to have enough going on to put something together, but like, I think that's a fair ask.
Yeah, it is. It is. With the caveat that anytime you make a change, it's very early in the process to make any broad sweeping.
What I'm asking
Yeah.
for is how are you going to evaluate it? Not for like an evaluation, but like how are you going to look at the changes and say, are these working? Not to say, because I mean, by October, you're not going to know if it's working, like, you know,
Right.
but what is going to measure that and how are we going to look at that? You need a plan.
Start picking up issues within a couple months of what's not working. You might see behavior issues with the 80-minute classrooms. You might see that, well, they're not fitting certain things in or whatever, you know?
And that's where I was thinking, like, there's like definitely an anecdotal piece that I can get through, like, you know, my meetings with teachers, as well as if we can do a survey about like how it's going type of deal. But when I was trying to think of like the data piece, I don't know, as far as like concrete numbers on achievement for reading and math, and does the schedule actually impact their performance? I'm not gonna have that. You know, so that's where I don't want to fall short. It's June now. I don't want to be sitting here in November and December and presenting you with data that's, you know, relevant to schedule changes. So I just wanted to be upfront and ask now, so that way I can mindfully plan for how I'm going to evaluate something down the road.
I think the achievement data falls more within your purview. You do the testing and you do all that. So that would be a piece that would be outside, I believe, outside of your realm.
But unless
Teacher
we're gonna do a
input as
curricular
well.
review and change our pacing guides and change what is there for content, we do need to make sure that we're adhering to the pacing guides. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, that's something that we really want to continue, unless we're looking at a curricular review.
Right.
I know you've said about, you know, students 80 minutes. Right now, they're 70 minutes, so I don't see that as that much of a change. The big change is going to be there every day. And when I did talk to the sixth grade core teachers, they were very happy to be there every day. I referenced, I think they would have preferred shorter periods, but 45-minute periods really end up effectively being a lot less. And then you do see when periods are shorter, teachers do tend to revert to
stand and deliver kind of thing, because you don't have the time to keep regrouping them, and there will be transitions, like you said, with the,
Well, there are also ways to deliver that 80 minutes, and it could be done in two separate, as you're doing the two
Saying
separate, so they're getting 2 hours, but they're getting it not 2 full hours, they're getting an hour and then an hour and breaking it up. And you might have some feedback from your teachers, especially with the new reading program. You don't know how that's gonna go. They might find that the 80 minutes is too much all at once. They might prefer to have it split. We don't know.
no,
We don't know that.
We also have EL modules that are legitimately not falling within the years that they need to in those pacing guides. I think it's fourth grade doing what currently would be fifth, right? Modules for ELA. American Revolution is not currently being
Oh, so
taught.
that content, so
The content curriculum.
But it, so it, but this is the tricky part about when we're thinking about grade level social studies. So the social studies frameworks, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm saying something that Liza does a lot of the social studies, and there's a whole team reviewing. Connecticut's put together the draft to revise the social studies.
Right, we've heard that a few times, yeah.
And that there's actually a committee from our district that's meeting like throughout the summer, I think, helping to revise it, but they're written in grade level bands. So it says in grades K to 2, you will cover this content. In grades 3 to 5, you will cover this content. So it's written as a band, and you can do it in any way, shape, or form. So our old units, like just as a point of reference, our old units that we used to use for teaching reading and writing, the Lucy Hawkins units with reading and writers workshop, they taught American Revolution in fourth grade too, or yes, they taught American Revolution in fourth grade because it was not, it was, and I remember when I was teaching it thinking, but we're still in colonial times in fourth grade. How could that be that I've got to skip colonial times and get to the American Revolution? And it was because it's a 3 to 5 band. And so a lot of the, I shouldn't say a lot, the texts that I've been familiar with have had that vary with the American Revolution and different content areas.
So
But-
because it's under review by the state, under a committee, we as a district are not gonna hold ourselves to the content. Is that what you're saying?
Gosh, no, we are, I mean, that's not what I'm saying. Like, we are holding ourselves to the content as it is currently indicated in our curriculum. So that fourth grade American Revolution, that's part of the EL curriculum is, yes, they're, for example, right now, like that might be part of the EL curriculum in fourth grade. But they just finished State in the Bag yesterday. So they just did all of their regions and characteristics of different areas and all of that piece. They just did all of that, and that just
The fourth grade?
culminated. Yeah, that just culminated with the State in the Bag project that they showed.
So will fifth grade repeat that same material next year and fifth?
American Revolution, as far as the content piece, but the delivery would be much different. So with the delivery of the EL module, the way that it's set up, the topic or the informational topic might be on American Revolution. They're more focusing on the standards that are the reading and writing, speaking, listening standards that fall by teaching that informational text. So can you look at an informational text and pick out the main idea and detailed sentences? Can you then look at 2 different texts and be able to find 2 different supporting reasons about what to make your case almost like your
So then
claim?
what are they missing in fourth that they should have had in the?
They
pacing
didn't
guide?
miss in fourth.
But if they're doing the Yale American Revolution content, like in the fourth grade.
So like if you look at our like their schedule.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so like in their schedule, they're teaching that EL module during their EL time. They still have their science social time. So
So
during EL
fourth grade did not lose social studies like fifth did for the first
No,
4 months of the year.
and
fourth
I
still
do
have social
caution
studies.
with that too, because that was not every single teacher followed that. So teachers did, like, every fifth grade teacher attacked their open studio and the way that they were going to teach that social studies curriculum differently. So it is different.
So
And
some were successful in completely delivering fifth grade content in the open studio module.
So I know some teachers said that they were able to deliver the social study, that they delivered the social studies content because we set up a whole. Now, regardless, I'm not gonna go back to that model because it didn't work, but there was a whole thing that said when, like, what topics they were covering, and how to do it, and there was all materials prepared by our instructional coach. There were teachers that did that during Open Studio and tried it out of the 5 teachers. Whether or not that model was successful is what we found, giving it a few months of actually going through that and then saying, we've got to do something different. But they did deliver that content. So the 4th grade still, they still deliver their social studies content because during their social studies time, they did social studies, but during their language arts time, they did the EL module. Does that clarify at all?
Any other questions?
Thank you. Everything.
Yeah.
I feel like
You can.
I'm not going to, thank you though.
You can understand that this is a big concern for all of us. And, we're so focused on making improvement and the need for getting our scores up that the only way we can talk about it is through curriculum. And so it's so important to us that really make sure that we are on a track to get our students higher up and ready for school, ready for graduation. We're losing so many kids at 8th grade to go to other schools. We need to have them ready and look at Coggins-Shock as the place they need to be, and that's gonna only happen in middle school or grammar school, that they stay here and they don't turn and say we were going somewhere else. And they need to get, the 8th grade kids need to want to be here and making them focus on their ability in math and English stuff is so important. That's our concern, is that how do we make sure, as our job as a board, that they're getting that. And that's why we're so concerned about this stuff and why we're thinking of it.
And as a coach for 5 years, I lived in reading curriculum. That's all I did was read and write curriculum. That was it. So I am a huge fan of curriculum and could probably recite our math curriculum without looking at it. So like that, I completely agree. And I agree that we need the curriculum to be updated. We need to do what we can to communicate so that there is not, I am being fully transparent with you. I do not want there to be a discrepancy about what we're teaching and how we're teaching it in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that's the best interest of our learners by any means. So I agree. And when I'm stuck, I go to curriculum. Like what's supposed to be going on, I go there. So I completely agree. And
I also,
We're already at
We have to
we're
go.
9:22.
I'm just gonna say, I also think it's important, if you're considering major changes, that before it goes out to the students and the parents, that at least run it by the board, especially with areas related to curriculum and classroom and stuff like that. I think that's just the way to do it. Okay.
No, and Cheryl owns that too, and she 100% understands that.
So do I.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business B, Coggins-Shock Academy. This came up, there were some questions that, I can hand it off to Tina, her first agenda item as a new board member. She just had a few questions on the program itself. And then if there was anything past that, obviously we're looking at 923. If there's something past that, we could send it to policy or student achievement.
Jen is also prepared to come back in July or August if you want more details. I'm looking at her right now and just, I think you're fine, but.
And she's thrilled with the process.
She would love to be here.
Oh, my God.
But I just, my eyes
The-
color
Oh,
of my,
it's deep over there.
do I match?
Very nice, lovely. It came up because we were having a conversation, there were board members that did not know what Cog Academy is.
Yes.
And I had just asked for Lindsay to reach out to you about just like 3 minutes explanation. What the program is, I know it's so much more than 3 minutes, but like just what it is, how kids get chosen, like any like goals of the program, et cetera.
Sure. So, Khan Academy came about, when Brian was here. So between Brian and I, it was a vision, of ours, together to create, Khan Academy as an alternative to essentially, the outplacements of kids who are school avoidant. A place for kids who needed to avoid credit recovery, kids who needed different, least restrictive environment that typical 7-2 educational setting wasn't working for them. We needed a shortened day, and maybe a shortened school day with a job, in the afternoon or a job in the morning, and get their education credits in the afternoon. So it is just alternative programming. So everybody in Academy is a special education student. It's not for regular education. So everybody has an IEP. It is literally just a type of programming for kids with IEPs. And it's alternative programming. And it's, again, could be recovery, shortened day. It has a social emotional learning component to it. Currently, we have 4 students enrolled in Khan Academy, and the alternative programming can look like, specialized instruction using virtual learning. It's called Edgenuity. It's a computerized learning platform that we use with instruction in school. But it's we really wanted it to be flexible programming for students, so that it falls under really IDEA and special education requirements for students to be in the least restrictive environment, so that they can attend high school and start attending classes as tolerated and as they grew. And especially for school avoiding and kids with anxiety, really the best way to treatment for that is to increase time in school slowly and methodically. And we've seen a lot of success with certain students with that, and actually have been successful in graduating several students in the last 3 years. We work school avoiding at other times. Currently, we have 4 students, and only students who are who are in Khan Academy are actually just are completely self-contained right now. And so students who are attending any Khan classes are part of the high school students. Right now, we have students, we had to create the academy to be compliant with the state and because we do have students who have alternative day schedules and we have eighth graders with alternative programming, but they don't attend high school classes. They're completely self-contained.
Did you say eighth graders? Sorry.
Eighth graders,
Okay.
yes, but the eighth graders are completely self-contained in high school. That's why it has to be there. That's why we have to have a different name for the program.
Okay.
Under the state. So it's a different registration code under the state. That's why there's a different name, but it's just special education programming. But because it houses eighth graders and they're not high school students under college job. That's why it's a different program, but it is just special education program.
And so you said there were 2 eighth graders and 4 kids total, so it's 2 eighth graders and 2.
And 2 high school students right now.
And I remember right, we really were looking at this as to avoid outplacement.
Yes.
And we saved a significant amount of
A
money.
significant amount.
Amount of money
less.
to, and most of the kids that went in originally that would have been outplaced.
We had brought students back from our placements,
And we still do.
and, yep, and we had cost savings, from avoiding other outplacements for kids who were school avoiding or, as well, over the course of the last 4 years.
Is this a result of when Kathy was here, was talking about trying to bring, if you remember, Bob, trying to bring students back in from
We have.
outplacements?
Yes, we did.
So this is a result of
Yeah.
her initiative.
And it was also,
Well, good.
Yeah, Kat was here when we started, so it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
and it
Okay,
was-
so that's where it came from.
it's
And I
also
had those
26.
conversations.
Right. Right. I remember when she had mentioned that to the board, but I didn't realize that it became Cog Academy. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that's where the students.
And again,
Ended up.
it needed to be, we needed to have a different school title for it
Mm.
because
They're
we're
not-
doing it
They're not doing
the
the same
correct
thing.
way because we had eighth graders registered and they're not high school students. So, yep. But the eighth graders aren't in any high school classes. They're also contained. Yeah.
Are those eighth graders still, are they still a part of the environment in the middle school? Or are they fully?
They're fully self-contained in the high school.
No longer in strong at all?
That's why we have it as separate.
So would their graduation requirements be different than other students?
No.
They would still be
Graduation
required to have the same
credit
credit?
requirements are the same.
Do they still participate with their grade level?
They would have been phased out completely.
No, it's a self-contained program.
They don't
For them.
participate with
Now-
extracurriculars or school events within strong school?
No, they could. But they don't. No, not currently. Nope. They do not.
That would depend on the need of the student.
That would, that could be a possibility. But they currently no.
But beyond the money, to keep them in district is really awesome if we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in a district this size, because larger districts can pull this off more easily because they have more kids to pull from to create their own.
Oh, yeah,
internal
major, yeah, they
programs.
do
So
it, they do it at
kudos to
every
you,
grade
Kath,
level,
Brian,
at
everybody else
every,
that's
building level, yeah.
I don't think the board was involved, though.
Oh, yeah.
Was the
we're
board
about
that-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Oh,
yeah,
Did?
we,
Oh,
were-
yeah,
but I, like I
absolutely.
said, I
forgot
didn't
about that.
realize that
Yeah.
it became Cog Academy.
Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah,
remember when,
absolutely. Yeah.
now that we're hearing about it, I remember
Oh,
when
absolutely. Oh, they're
Kathy
really
brought it
right.
up
Oh,
and
yeah.
asked about the board bringing it back.
It was a part of the budget process, we got
Didn't-
stood
it
up
didn't
there.
Connect
It
before.
was, a big yeah,
The budget
absolutely.
probably 18, 17, 18.
I don't know, we were all sitting over there, got up, yeah.
I remember. Now I
19.
remember. now.
Yeah, well,
But it's
here.
not listed, it's not listed as a program within districts, so. Like, we have MTA and we have like,
It was, I don't know where.
because I always thought it was a life skills program, so like that,
No,
I was one of the people that didn't understand what it was, and I think
Yeah.
Bob was confused a little bit on what it was, and I think was even saying what
Right.
it turned into, so that was the
No, but
conversation
we're
to find out.
registered with the state, like, we're in, no, it is, it's registered, like, we could accept people from
It didn't have a
other
name.
districts, I mean, it's a
Have we
separate.
taken kids from other districts?
What's that?
Have we taken kids from? other
No. No, I can't. We could, no, we could, but, and again, I mean, it's just, you know, then COVID hit and everything, I mean, we're not there. But
The out,
it's,
the outplacement costs were like $100,000 a student. Oh.
yeah,
And
that's
plus
low end,
transportation.
that's low
So
end.
we were looking at that
You're very
number.
low.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's-
mean, that's the numbers we were talking about
Yeah.
back then.
So,
And so, you know, this was, had a significant budget impact
it
when we
is.
started it.
But it never ended up, like, I don't see any, that's where I was like trying to figure out and doing some research and looking around and obviously not want to bother you during Panama. That was the last thing I wanted to call you was asking
Yeah.
questions on this, but you know, I don't see anywhere in policies or regulations or website like where that exists. So like, maybe it doesn't have to, like, maybe it's the
no,
way.
our life skills program doesn't exist anywhere either, so it's just, it's part of my special education programming.
But there are other school districts though that like advertise this,
And
as
then
like
advertise.
I don't believe it, but like,
Special education
but they,
programming, yeah.
right,
That's
but
all.
you know, and the other places I'm talking about are like Hartford, New Haven,
Yeah.
Bridgeport, Waterbury.
Yeah.
That, you know, have entire schools or a school within a school.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, yes.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
I had other questions, but
No,
I
and-
don't
and I'm
think that
happy to-
tonight is
yeah,
the night
absolutely.
to ask them. And it was mostly in line with like what Lindsay was saying about like policy, like if there is, then the board could be helpful in either, I don't know, like what we could be helpful in, but like
Yeah.
staffing, whatever.
No, and-
Budget.
no,
Budget,
and-
yeah, thank you, budget stuff.
And I
yeah.
have actually the original proposal and what,
Oh, cool.
the setup, so.
I'd like to do.
What we had found in all of it on, and you guys too, so.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
And
and
that
thank
was
you.
just the original.
We'll get some questions together. and then-
But this is good, this was good, thank you, and that was great.
Okay, C, we can skip the amending on the goals and objectives. Looking back at the minutes, they were contingent on Linda's changes, so those are the only changes. So I will get the wording on the Q from you, and then we can submit the goals and objectives. with this work. So, look, I
No,
just saved
thank
us
you.
some time.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for your work.
Wrap it all together, right?
All right, and this is, and Bob.
Thank you for your lack of work.
Bob's super psyched to go really fast. So here goes the policy review.
In terms of the 9,000 series, just to follow me on the agenda. A is out, B is in, C is out. D is in, E is out, F is in, G is in, H is in, H is creates a vice chairman. If that gets added, we would then have to have a vote to create a vice chairman later. I is out, J is in. Robert's rules is out because it's covered everywhere else. Quorum is out, it's covered in M. N is in. O is out. He is in. It covers a bunch of other issues from the other meetings, so it's very comprehensive. Q is out. R is out, S is in. This reduces the amount of meetings, the amount of minutes we actually require, but it's pretty hard to go away from what we do.
Yeah.
He is out. Yeah. He was in, we were missing a time for meetings and Lindsay and I said, well, the average meeting should be at 7. We can always start it at 6, but the policy will say 4 meetings are the second Wednesday and they're start at 7 o'clock.
Their end times, just asking.
No.
Yeah.
Never, never.
No, but you can bully me to,
V is out, W is out, X is in, because it covers other stuff. Their authorities, Y is in. Z is out, double A is out, double B is in. C is out, D, CC is out, DD is out, E is out, F is in, although we do that at the town hall. GG is in, H is out, and HH is out, and I is in.
motion to approve the
That's the
second read and possible vote on the 9,000 series part 2. Do we have a second?
I'll make that motion.
Oh, Bob makes that motion and
Linda second.
Linda seconds it. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will be very happy.
Number E.
These are
This
the
was the
price
first read.
1,000 series. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Move it going there. No, it's still going.
We'll get it on the Bible.
All right, we went backwards, video surveillance. We're adopting keeping our current one, which is directly is there. Uniform treatment of recruiters, we're keeping that as well. The video cameras, buses is the first one we're keeping, the current one. Transportation we're also keeping that one, so no changes. Suicide prevention. This one is a shipment policy. We're getting rid of ours and adopting the shipment policy. It's quite a bit of language in that. Setting cardiac arrest was moved to 4,000, so there's no action needed on that. Confidentially, and access to shipment records. There are several items on the original agenda on student records, student privacy, student data, and all of those are getting combined into confidentially and access to education records 5125, and that's a shipment model. And it deletes all of many other ones along the way. If you have the original agenda, 5,000 series, and student records is the shipment model. Again, it's also tied into the 5125. Smoking is moved to the 1,000 series, so we don't need it here. And Pledge of Allegiance is moved from our current one to the current shipment model, so it's for the state law. But this is different than the other ones because Meg had included in the agenda all of the proposals, which is in the 9,000. So it has everything that we looked at. This is just the policy committee's final recommendation. So these are the only ones. That's why it's a lot shorter than this list of ones I have. But so that's all that since for the first group. Is probably the student data one is the most complicated part of that. So if you have any questions on that, that's probably a concern in this group. The next group has a lot more stuff.
I just get a quick shout out to Meg for linking all these. What a tedious job.
Yeah, and she does it impeccably.
Hey, and I go through and check with her that she did everything right.
And
Well,
so.
then you have to
And
pause
then there's
for
Bob,
meeting with
right,
Meg.
right.
Do it.
Yes, let's
Yeah.
get Bob.
Yep. All right, so that's first read on those, well, next read, next meeting. There's no in-person public comment. Do we have any online public comment? If you would like, there's people on, so if they would, you would like, God bless you.
They
If
hung
you would
in
like
there,
to
huh?
speak, please raise your hand.
They hung in there. Yes.
Give it one more second. If you're online and you'd like to make a public comment, please raise your hand or unmute. Going once, going twice. Dr. Darcy?
I would like to make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I abstain?
No, you may not.
I can, but it will go nowhere.
Well, you could just vote no.
You were, that was efficient.